Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? This is Chris with StreamCatcher Society, and we are live coming at you in a little bit different configuration today, off the desk and to the machines. We're gonna do some screen sharing with my Wacom tablet and do some AI artwork and kind of get a lay of the land. AI art is, it's an amazing tool. There's a wide range of people, how people feel about it, of course. And there are some people who've been doing AI art for a few months, call themselves artists, and kind of lump them in with everything else. And some people understand the differences. But all said and done, AI art is incredible. It's here to stay as a tool. It's being integrated into all kinds of pipelines. There's video AI, there's image AI, there's text to 3D coming, already here, really. And pardon me, excuse me. There's tons and tons and tons of new different applications and programs and different ways of dealing with stable diffusion and all kinds of different stuff. So there's local ways to run things. There's websites that you can use for free or even buy credits on. We'll go over some of those. And there's just a huge landscape of new art that's being generated by both novices and professionals using AI art in different ways all across the board. So I'm totally excited about AI art, integrating it with all the other things I do with Photoshop and Cinema and soon Blender and all those tools. And then again, Blender has plugins now that bring stable diffusion into 3D to use for overlays and effects and painterly things. And there's in-painting and out-painting. I mean, there's just a ton of different things. So what I want to do today is kind of just get a lay of the land of where I've been, some of the things I've been working with. I've been working with a number of different AI and GANs, if you will, generative adversarial networks, and some of them remotely, a couple of them locally. And I actually just installed the automatic web GUI for stable diffusion, which is much more complicated than the one I've been using previously. And that has strengths and weaknesses as well, but really just trying to figure out all the tools, figure out the sampling methods, figure out what they do, ranges, different things like that. It can be very, very tricky because at the end of the day, you're kind of putting your prompt out into the ether and then hoping something good comes back. And you try to tweak it and tune it and refine it, and that's really where the skill comes in, is blending different artist styles, 2 or 3 different artist styles to get a unique look that you want, a unique aesthetic. Because what you're going for, you don't want to have a portfolio full of artwork that looks just like Art Germ or Boris Vallejo. You want something that is more unique and more your own. So that's what I kind of try for, and I shoot for parts and pieces, textures, colors, things like that, much more than I do shooting for a final image. And excuse me, pardon me. When you don't have a lot of ability to iterate, and you don't have a lot of ability to do many, many images at a time, say you're using a free version and it's very low-res images and it takes a while, or you're spending credits on them, those prompts become that much more important to you to get a final result out of, especially if you're minting art pretty much straight out of the GANs. So if you're doing that and you're not able to iterate and you're not able to do the over and over again and testing and see what this does and see what that does, it makes it much more difficult. It makes it much more hit and miss to get what it is you want out of it, because the GANs really kind of throw up all kinds of stuff that you just never expect and never even wanted. That's one of the things too, is you'll be sitting there doing a prompt and say you want a kitty cat, and every third image it'll throw in a woman for some reason, because it just wants to. And it's kind of like how an artist operates in a way. It's like, well, I'm going to do what I want to do, even though you told me what to kind of do. So we're going to go ahead and kind of look into stuff right now and take a look at the landscape of some of the AI tools I'm using and how they work and some of the output I've been getting, and maybe dive into some painting, some in-painting, and do some other stuff in a couple of the applications that I'm running locally. I am running everything on Hack Pro, running Mac OS, and I've got Screens 4, which is a great program to VNC tunnel into Windows and Mac, and even I think maybe Linux, I'm not sure, but Windows and Mac tunnel in and do virtual screens and everything, so we can go over that way and be on a little AMD PC that I have hooked up with a 3070 an NVIDIA RTX 3070 that is running Stable Diffusion in a couple of different flavors. So we'll go over that, and I guess we'll just dive in and start to look at some of the things going on. So let me get something going here. Switch out my screen-a-doodle. Okay. There we go. And then if I go to All right. Wait, that's the wrong one. Moving things around. Cam 5. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right. So we'll go ahead and close these out. Close my little. Like that. And oh boy, do I have a mess on my desktop. So let's go ahead and just get rid of all this. Now, well, let's go ahead and go over to here. There's my AI. Okay. Let's full screen that puppy. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so let's actually go real quick. I'm going to go to creator.nightcafe. Studio, yeah. So one of the first experiences I had with AI tools was kind of finding out about Google Colab, of course, and then it didn't switch for me. Hold on just one second. Pardon me. Okay, yeah. All right, and then we go to Cam 5. Okay. Yeah, one of the things that when I first started learning about AI art was probably back towards the turn of the year. It's been probably 9 months, 10 months or so that I've been doing the AI artwork. And I learned about Google Colab notebooks, and it wasn't that Colab notebooks were so hard to figure out. It's just a matter of time and how much time you do have to spend on any given thing. So I looked for a little bit easier solution just to try things out and see what AI art was all about. And I ran into this website right here called Night Cafe Creator. And I did some interesting things with it. If you sign up for Night Cafe Creator, you can get 5 credits per day, depending on how you tweak your Stable Diffusion code and all that, your prompt and your weighting and your sizes and all that. You can get a couple images out of that per day. I have 114 credits left, and if we go into my creations, we can take a look. This was a lot more abstract at the time. You can tell that some of the stuff I was doing was very odd, for lack of a better way to put it. I got some beautiful things out of it, and then I took some of this stuff, some of this output, and I did some Photoshop work to it. I put a couple other things through Midjourney, and really made some stuff wild. Some of these, images are pretty cool. It could be turned on its side and done. I've done all kinds of things with these, but it was very interesting to play with it just to see what it could do with form and color and shape and those kinds of things. So I was, of course, immediately hooked on just the idea of, oh wow, I'm generating art from a text prompt. It's amazing. And so when I learned about, hold on just one second. When I learned about how it was working, basically, generative adversarial networks, what is that? So the best way I kind of had it described to me, or read about it or saw it, was that you have a couple of software programs that have been set up, and they have access to databases of images and metadata and all those kinds of things. And they fight with each other, kind of, they battle with each other to serve you what you want. And they both take, the text data and the prompts and the weights and try and make an estimated guess based on the data sets they're using and all those other things as to what it is you want. They spit some pixel information out. They both compare notes and kind of spit the final image out to you. And that's probably a much simplified way of looking at it, but it was fascinating. And I was like, wow, that is really an incredible thing. So go back to here. So, oh, geez, great. Now I'm going to totally smoke my, what happened there? Come back. Okay, let's close that down. Where did you go, Safari? That's strange. You know, I may have inadvertently closed that window. I apologize. I don't know how that would have happened, but I did. Okay, so let's try that again. Wow, that was terrible. All right, let's start over. Anyway, so yeah, Night Cafe Creator was how I started, and just getting a feel for the GAN that I was working with, and of course this wasn't Stable Diffusion at the time, but getting a feel for the GAN I was working with, trying out different kinds of rainbow fountains of color parallax. Nothing too detailed at the time, because I really didn't know what was possible. And with these earlier iterations of some of the AI tools, it wasn't anywhere near as complex or intricate of the output that you can get in comparison. But it was still some pretty images. Some of the stuff didn't come out very well at all. But I've used some, and I plan to use some other things for some textures and form. And I've actually got some better stuff in here. It has some like dragon swirls and of vortexes and just different things that you could use for patterns and backgrounds. But needless to say, I was hooked. And so I went and researched some other things and did some other work, doing my regular daily business stuff. And then I stumbled across Midjourney. And Midjourney was digital crack. This thing blew me away. Continues to impress me, and I have a lot of fun with it. I am not using it anywhere near as much as I was before I got Stable Diffusion local. So installing it local on an NVIDIA RTX 3070. I actually have another 3070 that I'll be installing another Windows in another Windows machine and running 2 versions of Stable Diffusion at the same time. And I'm going to go ahead and replace one of my graphics cards, my AMD, with a 3090 or a 4090, so that we can do Dream Booth. But yeah, so I found what is this again? Midjourney, Dream Booth, Dream Studio, OpenAI, DALL-E. There's just a billion of them at this point. And also, the Stable Diffusion code is open source and free, so people are using it and taking it and building off of that and building entire sites. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Marketplaces and Stable Diffusion output where you have buy credits, but you immediately flip them as artwork. And so it's a brave new world, right? Aldous Huxley. So anyway, yeah, we're going through Midjourney here. And I mean, I go back, if you look into, where'd my archive go? Ah, there it is. In my archive, you will see we go all the way back to May of 2022. So my first output from Midjourney was this image right here. So you can see kind of an underwater city. And again, I think for ideation, for iteration, I love this. I've brought this in already and turned it into a Photoshop, a piece of art in Photoshop that I've created. I've extended it out, myself. Put in dolphins and other alien life forms and different things swimming around. So the jumping off points that it gives you are amazing. And from a pure artistic standpoint, if you're working with a team of people, you can say, I created that, because you were a part of creating that. So, as an artist, I feel I'm every bit of an artist if I'm hiring people to make me faster and better, but they're giving my vision life. That's how I look at it. So I did. I paid a a stupid amount of money because I was so excited about it, and I do that sometimes. But I started off by, you know, buying the $10, and that was ridiculous, and then I went to the $30, and I ran out really fast, and the $50, and after a few $50, I was like, okay, I get this. This is all GPU hours. Well, actually, I didn't get it then. I bought the $600 enterprise version, and then that's when they told you the truth, really, which was you're buying GPU hours. And so you get, for Midjourney, you get 120 GPU hours of fast time for that $600 a year enterprise, and then you can be in relax mode to do images whenever you want, but they come back to you whenever they want. So they're very slow, and they're not instantaneous at all. Sometimes they can take a day to get back to you. It's very weird. And sometimes they don't come back at all. So this was like an orb with snakes in it, you know, just starting out, working on things, doing fish patterns. And then we got into crazy like Ducati fishy cycles. And it's just an amazing tool to let your imagination play and go wild. And I've got some great cartoon things I'm doing, and robots, and just the ideation that I'm able to come up with, all these different, and then you throw stuff in like you do Meg Ryan and you see what happens. Wow! That's about what she looks like after a plastic surgeon got a hold of her. Okay, and eyeballs, you know, rendering for parts and pieces, eyeballs, tongues, all these things that you can bring together and comp in and use as textures or use in After Effects and animate. So this has been, you know, an incredible journey, mid-journey for me. For months I was doing this, and I was just like, all I could do was slash imagine things. You know, I couldn't even imagine anymore. It was slash imagine. So very, very exciting stuff in that. And so when we go to, I gotta stop saying so, please, that kill me. When we go to this button here, this is the, you know, this is just to show you real quick. This is the Midjourney web interface that you have. It's much better than it used to be. It was very bare bones. But now you have a home, you have a community feed, you have your personal feed, bookmarks. You can, you know, put bookmarks anywhere. Rank. You can rank things. This ranking isn't so much about ranking as it is training the GAN. And then manage your subscription, help and fact, about and careers, and then, you know, you've got your settings down here. So if we go over to any of the images themselves, excuse me, you can see that we've got, I was just trying something different with a prompt. In the new, one of the new features of Midjourney is this reroll prompt, which allows you to, I'm sorry, not reroll prompt, remix prompt, which allows you to actually change the prompt when you variate the image to something, you know, completely different and see what happens. So I was kind of changing some little cartoon robot characters into the Big Bang Theory TV show and seeing what would happen. And so you've got the prompt here, and actually this prompt is wrong because this should have no space and a colon right there, and that does some weighting. And then for some reason defocuses in the bottom. I don't know about that, but anyway, so you've got, these are kind of hashtags that it assigns it the metadata, and then you can view the file and download it. If you tap here on an iOS device or on an Android device, it'll ask you if you want to view or download the file. This one just downloads it, but if I click on this button, this is where we can do some other interesting things. So I can either copy the whole command, or I can just copy the prompt. Now the command and the prompt are different because the command has different variations at the end of it that are, you know, --v space 3 for the version, --q space 2 for the quality, that kind of thing. If you just copy the prompt, you're just going to get what you see here. Then you can copy the job ID, and then you can show it in Discord to do other things like remaster it and that kind of thing. You can save the image, and then of course you can open it in Discord, which is what I like to do that quite often, which when you open it in Discord, it will bring up the Discord window. Ugh, Discord. Anyway, and you can see here that it brings this up. This is the last image in the chain, of course. So I went to the bottom of my feed, and now we're in the Midjourney bot, and this is all my feed, the private feed that I'm using in Midjourney, because you don't have to do a public feed when you're paying through the nose for it. And so I've got this feed of all this artwork and different stuff, and I can go back at any point. Oh, there's a guy I wanted to talk about, Tanishq. 31,000 followers, and he's a kid who does AI art. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, if we go to our archive, one of the things I was having a problem with this actually was that if I went too far back in my archive, I could not re-roll or remix the job ID because it seemed like it was too old. Let's go back and let's say mid-range. Let's grab this one. That's kind of a wild image. It's really, Midjourney, I think, is one of the GANs that I really can see when I blend a few artists together. I can really see the styles blending together. I can see much more variation in some of the range of complexity and detail and other things I get out of Midjourney that's different than how Stable Diffusion does it. So they're definitely doing something different. They're definitely tweaking their code somehow. You can say food grown by AI systems in the year 3255. Of course, another typo. Typos are not good, especially ask programmers. But we could go here and we could say, copy the job ID. And then we go back to Midjourney bot and we'll type in /show and then space and then paste. It's going to think about it for a second and then it's going to do that. So now we can remaster it, or we can do a detailed upscale redo. And then if we go here, let's see. Okay, so let's say we want this image and we want it up-resed for whatever reason. We'll go, and by the way, I probably should be checking my YouTube live stream. Top chat here. We've got nobody in chat. Okay, good. That means nobody's watching. All right. I'm all alone. It's all right. Building a library, people. Building a library. Let's see. I can go ahead and tweet this out, though. Let's just share this little puppy. Let's share it to Twitter real quick. Live now. I'm not bothering anybody on the feed, so why not? Okay. If you're watching this later on, I apologize. All right, so we saved that and shared that. And back to this, we can, again, do a light upscale redo, beta upscale redo. Now, if I click on upscale to max, that's weird. Normally, if I hit upscale to max and I'm in relax mode, it doesn't allow me to. So that might be new, or let's just check our info. And we hit enter twice, and the Midjourney bot is thinking. Okay, so fast time remaining. Yes, I'm in relaxed mode. That's interesting. So max upscale now works. I guess they figured there's so many. Upscalers that there's no point in not allowing that. But like in this one, I love this image. It's really cool. The rainbow, whatever. But it's pretty neat. I love the graphic style and everything. Replace maybe we'll do an in paint with a face or something. So we can make a variation, let's say, and we could say, so see this party guy in a party world. So we could say face of. Oh, who do we want? Let's pick somebody obscure. Let's try David Carradine. Let's see what happens to that. Then that's going to be in relax mode, so we'll have to come back and check that. I'll put it in fast mode so we can generate a few images in a little bit. So, and then if you see what you're seeing here in these 4-ups, and just to let people know who aren't familiar with this kind of AI art generation, in the Midjourney bot, what you get when you type in your phrase, so you can see here we've got alien plant life macro in the style of Peter Moorbacher, :0.7, which means, weight it to 0.7 of the strength, influenced by Chang Wai Pen, 0.5, redshift photorealistic render, so on and so forth. And then at the end, you can see no, I have the no is, you could say no people or no whatever. I said no defocus. Chaos is in the middle of the range. Up beta, stylize is in the low middle. And then it adds some other things. It continues to kind of, it screws up the back end when it does variations and stuff and adds things, but it still runs, so I don't worry about it. But what it does originally is it generates a 4-up image. Excuse me. So it generates a 4-up image, and you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, starting from top left to bottom right. And what you can do with the buttons here is you can up-res 1 through 4, again 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can variate 1 through 4, or you can just re-roll the prompt, and of course you're going to get something totally different because Stable Diffusion is not stable in that regard. So let's go ahead and let's just go and let's do redo 4. We're going to variate 4. Okay, we're going to, instead of up-res, we'll variate it. And we'll say instead of alien plant life macro, we'll say alien butterfly on plant. I have no idea if this is going to work. That's one of the things that's great about being able to use Stable Diffusion locally, is that you're able to test and test and test and iterate and find, you know, sometimes you actually have a decent prompt, you have decent weighting, you have decent creativity guidance, whatever it might be, and you don't get the right image until the 14th one. It's just, it's the way it works sometimes. So working with stuff locally and being able to generate these images, as many as you want, as much as you want, as fast as you can, sometimes is very desirable. That doesn't obfuscate the need to really work and try different prompts and try different angles of attack and the way, you know, the way you would write it versus the way you'd be describing it to a robot. All those kinds of things are very challenging, and I love them. I mean, as a writer, from a writing and creative and artist perspective, it's kind of the best of all the worlds. It's really neat, and you can do so much amazing stuff. One of the things that I've been trying to go away from is, you know, trying to get more photorealistic styles and other things, and work on some abstract methods, some collage, some WPAP kind of style of graphical looks and that kind of thing. So I've done a wide range of stuff, and Midjourney has been absolutely a ball to work with as far as what my output is. Now, the interface, you know, okay. I mean, it used to be in the day that we made applications and sold them, and, you know, or rented them, you know, with a SaaS or whatever. But now that people are building applications, you know, straight in using Discord as the main interface here, and then building a website, you know, to support it here. And yeah, okay. I mean, I get it. I get why they're doing it. It's not ideal. You know, there's no manual per se. There's some info. You can type in help, I think, and you can get some basic help here, so we can see. You know, you can read the quick start guide, which isn't, you know, great. You get around 25 free trial images. You can view all your images and access your account on the website. And then, of course, you got Imagine, Info, and Subscribe. Extra options. So you can, if we go here and we'll say, let's take a look at the extra options. Imagine, Parameters, Illustrated. Okay, this is new. So that's the thing, too, is everything in the web and tech and internet, it changes so fast that if you blink, you'll miss something. So you can't know everything. It's just not possible. Width and height. So yeah, aspect or AR. AR would, you know, use it when you do like 16:9 or whatever. I tend to use aspect, and I use like 235:100 for a more cinemascope, widescreen, things like that. Then you could do 3:2, and you can also, of course, do 1920, 1280. Yeah, right. That's right. That's how I work that. Okay, but I do it different. I do it in actual aspect ratio instead of pixel ratio. Please note that the ratio gets normalized, of course. Algorithm modifiers. So, you know, this is going to tell you how you can do it, the Midjourney web app. Let's see. But it doesn't really have a ton of information on, you know, like here's version 2 and here's version 1. So you can see version 2 is probably a little bit more photorealistic or a little bit more detailed anyway. You can see in some of the stuff here. But there's not a ton of difference. And then version 3, you get a little bit cleaner, a little bit more defined lines. high definition. This toggle in Midjourney uses a different algorithm that's potentially better for larger images, but with less consistent compositions. Whatever the hell that means, because I mean, you could translate that into anything, and that's probably how the GANs are looking at it too. Is they're probably giving specific information and specific rules and different things for certain things, and then they're kind of letting the GANs loose in other areas and saying, kind of do what you want, or do what you think is best. So here's a regular upscale, here's a light upscale. It's going to give you different information, and there's a lot of different websites that give you really good information. In fact, where was that Midjourney one? Midjourney examples. I had to close that window, which totally made sense. Accidentally hitting Command W, I guess. Sort of. Is that the main Midjourney? This is photography resources. So this is and we'll put all these links in a post and get that up on the website as soon as we can. But we've got film stocks, camera bodies, focal lengths, aperture. So camera bodies, for example, hooded figure, cemetery, camera body. So you can actually tune them in for a camera. And honestly, I don't know what these do when you're doing these kinds of things. What is programmed into these things? I would love to talk to one of the Checkpoint developers, the people that develop the Stable Diffusion files that you can download off of Hugging Face for your local installations. So yeah, so we are looking at camera stuff right here, but there's a much better one. Lord, I wish I could find that. Hold on. Midjourney examples. Guide, maybe. Prompt tricks. See, let's just check this out. I mean, I am learning so much on the fly. It's just sometimes I stumble across stuff and I'm like, oh, look at this, and then so you've got raw prompt text, providing keywords, style. So some of the ways that you can generate variations in images and some of the advanced settings for the same. Applying weights to the image prompts, passing an image. And that's the other thing too, is that Midjourney also allows you, there's so much to cover, I apologize. Midjourney also allows you to use an image as your base, as your base start, as a kind of a starter image. So in that case, you would have a URL that would appear before the line of text, before your text prompt with a space, and then you would be able to use that as an input image, and then you would weight it at the end with an image weight tag, which would be --IW, and then a space, and then from 0.1 to 10 or to 1. That's how you do that with that. And you can also, of course, with local versions of Stable Diffusion and Dolly and other things, start with input images as well. And then that leads to in-painting and out-painting, where you're masking areas with in-painting to actually add data or image information into specific areas of the image. It gets crazy. It's wild what you can do with all this stuff. So I'm having a ball playing with it. It definitely squirrels you all over the place. You want to explore and type and do different things, and just learning about how all this stuff works is exciting and fun, but it's also a little bit maddening, because at the end of the day, you're kind of throwing your prompt into the ether and hoping to get back what you get back. And a lot of times you do, and a lot of times you don't, and sometimes you get in between, and it's a very interesting end result. And so how you work it into your process and into your workflows and all that kind of thing is, of course, completely up to you. So you can use the settings command, of course, inside of Midjourney to access all of these different toggles that you can turn on and off, what version you're going to use, the style, half quality, base quality, high quality, which is 2 times the cost, but if you're in relax mode, that doesn't matter. Fast mode, relax mode, again, regular or light upscale, and public mode and private mode. So that's one of the things that, the light and regular upscale, I wasn't actually aware until I read this and saw those images, that really doesn't do as good of a job. And I mean, you see light and regular, but you don't think about it like that. And so, I want to make sure I'm on regular upscale as well here. So we'll go back to Midjourney, and we go to our settings. Tap once on enter, tap once again, and there you go. So we're in relax mode, we're in remix mode, we're in private mode. We got beta upscale. Now, see, even that one's older. So if you look here, there's no beta upscale. So again, you're going to have to understand as you go learning all these things that not everybody's right, not everybody's updated, not everybody is current. Sometimes you're just guessing, and that's okay. But you should at least know the stuff's there to guess with. So style low, style medium, style high, style very high. Again, this is something you really have to play with. When you stylize very high, you're talking 20,000. Medium seems like not at all there. And then stylize 1250. So you're getting that stylize in there. And then if we go to that, it takes it to 20,000. But if we do style low and then re-roll this prompt, this shouldn't take too long to regenerate, and we can take a look and see what the difference is. So that's an area where you can do different settings as well in Midjourney. So there's a lot of power and a lot of capability, and the process, the tools themselves are extremely cool. Don't get me wrong. They are. Where's my thing? Hold on. Yeah, the tools are so powerful, but they're very unpredictable. And one of the things that you can do, of course, is with your proper text prompt engineering, with doing negative weights, with choosing artistic styles or not, depending on what kind of style you're going for, like a 3D look, whatever it might be. You can definitely tweak and tune things, but stable diffusion is not stable, so you can't get like consistency or do a comic book with the same kind of character style. But then you introduce things like Dream Booth, which allows you to train the GANs on certain models and tell it what the model is. That this is Chris. There's 20 images of me, and then go ahead and make me a Lego figure, make me Neo from the Matrix, make me a Terminator, whatever it may be, and it will go ahead and actually do that and retain some consistency of me in between those images. So amazing stuff coming out, and the stuff is coming fast and furious. Don't let anybody tell you, you're wrong or this or that, because they're probably wrong too. It's going so quickly that it's just very, very hard to keep up. And so that's why I'm kind of giving you a general overview in where I am, because I wouldn't say I'm lost, but I would like more. I'd like a little bit more of manual information. There's a guy on YouTube. Actually, shout out to Scott Detweller, amazing guy on YouTube, been doing a lot of really cool stuff and showing different people things. So thank you very much. StreamCatcher Society is about catching other people's streams. So we're going to go ahead and amplify and glorify those people who are doing really well and helping out the community. And Scott is a great guy. I'm on his Discord server, and I hope to maybe get to know him better in the future. But he's doing some great work on YouTube with AI software. A number of other artists online and on Twitter who are doing AI stuff, from Art by Banned Books on Twitter to the Feels Collective to a bunch of other projects that are doing really interesting things. All right, let's go back to here. And image prompting with URL, of course. So then we can link that with this, and it doesn't give us an example. Okay. So Midjourney, this is the documentation. There's such a better guide. Where is that guide? Let me see if I can find it. Aha. Oh, so nice. There's the screen. It went away. Okay, that's why. Thank you. All right, real quick, I'm gonna hide my doc. I was having an issue with it. Hide it. Thank you. Okay. here we go. This is a great reference here. It's on GitHub, and I will paste the link. In fact, I'll just go ahead and Twitter it out right now. And best Midjourney visual reference I have found. You're welcome. And got a hashtag. So. That's worse than We are tweeting that out. Okay. This is Will Wolfkin. So thank you, Will Wolfkin, for your diligent work in this regard. But here you have a Midjourney styles and keywords reference. You've got tons of things on prompt writing. So prompt formatting, for example. How to create an image, basic prompt formats. So you can see here that actually I'm not even reading. I'm typing and texting so many text prompts and sliding sliders and figuring things out. I need personally myself to go back to some basics. So basic prompt format being, you know, style with a bracket, not a bracket, I forget what that called, hard line, sphere, style, style, sphere, sphere, style. Okay. It's not helping me. Style of a sphere. Okay. It's very weird. Okay. So, oh, all right, here we go. Okay. Yeah, so here's the visual stuff. Ooh, all right. Basic prompt formats. All right, so supernova, chaotic, deep dream. And you can see how this is, you know, from chaotic to deep dream, we're getting really wild stuff just by saying deep dream. So if we go and open this in a new tab, deep dream, Midjourney v3. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So give me that image. Yes. Okay. So it gives me that image. And we'll go ahead and look at that. So yeah, you under this for Midjourney, this is a great visual reference. This whole GitHub page and subsequent pages is a great visual reference to kind of see what you can get with different text prompts with different variations. So sphere made of deep dream of a sphere. Those were actually kind of similar. And just, you know, this may not be the best example to use. Let's go ahead and go back to this. So yeah, carved lacquer. You know, you can see what carved lacquer looks like. That's beautiful. Look at that piece right there. That's gorgeous. Carved lacquer. And, you know, this can give you ideas for throwing, you know, wood cuts and different things. Carved lacquer, sphere in the style of carved lacquer. So the words, the choices that you make with the words, the order with which they're put in, different weighting, and prompts, negative prompts, taking things out, all of those can combine to form some beautiful, beautiful imagery. And you can get such variation out of it that it's truly infinite. I mean, it really is. I don't think we've scratched the surface yet of what all this AI stuff can really do. And this one's really cool, glow in the dark, as you can see. Clouds, so sphere clouds. We've got just cyan, just the word cyan. And see, throws in the Midjourney girl every freaking time. It's so funny, the Midjourney girl. But yeah, you know, hexagonal. You've got hexagonal kind of spheres going on. And let's see, I can probably find something better here. Let's undo that. Go back. And Midjourney, styles and reference. Prompt parameters. So you can see with let's do stylized. Let's check the stylized parameter out. Actually, so you can see here that we've got stylized, and the one weird thing about the Midjourney stuff with the stylized is that it uses two different ranges, you know, these are the kind of things that I think from a UI perspective, those things can be addressed, but they're not being addressed because there's no UI. So, to speak of anyway, on the web page and everything, these are the kind of things that sliders, values, things like that should be more easily understood as to their ranges, but they're not. And they don't seem to care too much about making it easier to understand. They just want to keep on putting out new stuff, which, you know, I completely understand that too. So let's see, I'm in my chat here. All right, still all alone on a Saturday morning. It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. So let's go back to our screen a doodle. And yeah, so the stylize, you know, option, the dash stylize, as you can obviously see, as you get higher, you're going to get crazier and wilder output. And then towards the middle here, kind of comes back to a little bit more abstract. And then as you get up into the higher range, you can see it's putting in more kind of detail, just wild detail. That's really pretty. A piece right there. And again, I think all these things are just gorgeous ways to start moving your imagery forward and combining it and compositing and doing things that are just mind-blowingly cool. Let's see, style parameter, chaos parameter. Let's look at chaos. Chaos going from 0 to 100. So at 100 we have this chaos, and at 0 we have almost no chaos, but we do. We have a sphere with clouds and all kinds of stuff. So again, you know, the word chaos and the implementation of chaos, sure, there's an aspect of that. What keeps beeping here? Oh, Christy. Okay, that's my wife. I should probably pay attention to my wife. I love my wife. All right. Okay, she made it to the other house. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. So yeah, again, you know, the word chaos, when you think of chaos and you think of a sliding scale from 0 to 100, it may not necessarily come out how you think. And that's kind of the magic sauce in all of this, is that what you're looking for is combinations of keywords, of artists, of different things that you can use to find your aesthetic, your style, the image you want, the subject matter you want, all those things. You're trying to find that magic sauce where you get some really, truly unique and amazing things out of it. So this is one I haven't looked at actually, which is interesting. This is the HD versus like version 2 HD, which is interesting. And then we've got version 3, version 2, and version 1. And you can definitely see the complexity. Even though there's some complexity here, it's a little bit more muted or blurred. You know, it's kind of a color ramp of different colors, more so than actual detail. You can see the detail kind of increase here in version 2, and then of course get more complex in version 3. And then if we look down here into this sphere with the clouds and everything, you can see that it's kind of like almost nothing, just an abstract shape here, and then it's getting more to clouds and maybe a mountain range or something, and then over here you've got clouds, buildings, mountains, a more defined sky, that kind of thing. So you can see version 3 is definitely up there. If you're doing more abstract things, if you're doing more abstract kind of imagery, then you may not want to use the version 3 because it may be too much detail for you. So go back to the home page, image resolutions, cross-analysis pages. Stylized resolution cross-analysis, okay. And so you can see here, there's just a ton of different visual representations that you can use to kind of get an idea, at least, of where you think you want to go with the images. And that's the other thing too, is that I've found that's very important to note here. I've definitely found that the image sizes, the actual keep dropping things, the image sizes that you're rendering at. So most of the people are doing like the 512 by 512, or they're even doing smaller to do iterations and find something. But 512 by 512 is kind of the standard. Whenever you're talking about doing something with a more wide aspect ratio, like 16:9, say 768 by 512, or you're even bumping it up to 1024 by 1024, or 1024 by 768, whatever those, it may be, whatever aspect ratio you're in my experience anyway, you can get wildly varied results from the same exact prompt, just using a different pixel aspect ratio and pixel size. So, size of image. So that is really fascinating to me, and I've definitely been playing around with that. When you're trying to tell people and teach people about it, it's kind of hard to put things like that into solid terms, because you're going to tell people that something does something, and yet that whole process, the end result is it's probably going to give you something different anyway, just based on what it is, which is, this AI art GAN. So where you're not telling people exactly, what happened to me? I apologize. You're not telling people exactly, if you do A, B, C, and D, you're going to get E. Yeah, if you do A, B, C, and D, you might get J, 7, 14, or, Z. You might. And that's why things like Dream Booth and all those other things, when you're running them with a higher end graphics card, are much more desirable to have. You have actual stability with Stable Diffusion, or you can build in stability. So of course it takes more work. So again, going back to the full screen here, it's giving you varying different images based on the output. So these are the HD ones. This is IP, MP, and SP. I don't even know what that is. That's interesting. Preset resolutions. Okay, so that's wallpaper, and at different variations of stylization, of course. So you can look at that. I mean, just wild. Look at that. That's really nice. The detail on those is very nice. And that's really one of the tricks with AI art, is that there's definitely a blending of creativity and left brain, of right brain and left brain. Excuse me while I take a drink. There's definitely that fusing of left brain and right brain, where you have to really think about things and kind of, not only the words you use, but the order you use them in, any of the variations that you can give to the application or to the GAN or whatever, based on which GAN you're using, these stylized commands, the sampling and other things that we'll look into in a little bit. All of these things matter. The order with which that you do them in, the weighting, again, negative prompts, and even size. I've found that the size of the image will dictate that you get different things out of it. So, for example, I think one of the best examples I can come up with off the top of my head is that you could, let's say you wanted a portrait of a woman, and you did portrait of a woman with whatever variations you wanted in there, and then you did it at 512 by 512, you're absolutely, most of the time going to get a portrait of a woman. You're going to get a more face shot, and it's going to be something that you're not going to get a full body or whatever. But if you put it into an aspect ratio that's more 16:9, something like a 768 by 512 or something like that, you're going to get potentially you can get a full body out of it with the same exact prompt. Even if you say portrait of, when you put it in that aspect ratio, sometimes it's going to do a body. So just because you type something into any given GAN does not mean that you are going to necessarily get out what you expect out of it. Far from it, actually. And so we have the different sizes. Now, SI and ML, I don't know. I'll have to look up what these are because SL, ML, what is that? SL, ML, IL, I don't know. And MP and SP. I'll have to look that up. And definitely gives interesting different results. And a nice texture on that moon. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. I mean, just it is fascinating. It is addictive as an artist, as a creative, as a writer. It is beyond interesting. It just keeps going and going and going and going. New experimental mid-journey features. Yay, let's talk about these. Test P and creative, remaster, and beta upscale. Let's see what they say about beta upscale. So original and beta upscale. You can definitely see that there's more data being generated on that beta upscale in there. You get some nice wisps and stuff going in here, but it's kind of, yeah, it's a little abstract and a little bit blurry. But here, whew, look at that. Fibers and a net and webbing. But sometimes that may not be desirable. That may not be what you want. Light upscale here, let's see, original. Definitely, I mean, look at that upscale. That's a chaotic upscale. And you've got beta upscale, okay, deep dream. And it gives you a tremendous amount of ways to variate it. Carved lacquer, marker, oh, okay. Lactarius indigo. Oh, we're gonna have to look that one up. I think that's just a plant. An indigo milk cap mushroom. Huh. Yeah, it's one thing that, it will know proper words and terminologies. I don't know ultimately if it's going out and searching for those things online or if it has to pull from the database, and if it can't find what's in the database, it just guesses. These are all questions I have, definitely. And I have lots and lots of questions I'm going to try to get answers to by talking to some of the people out there that are better than me at this, and I will definitely let you know because we are working towards really learning this stuff. And that's gorgeous. I mean, look at that detail, that almost oil slick kind of painter effect. Original, upscaled again, milky quartz. Oh, okay, were these all? Oh, that is the prompt. Okay, like supernova, oh, duh. Okay, that is the prompt, chaotic, got it. Deep dream, okay, again. Deep dream, boy, I guess that's effectively saying, show me something on LSD. So carved lacquer, marker art, okay, and then I don't know why they put in a mushroom, that's interesting. Liquid crystal, so yeah, it's kind of a liquid crystal effect that you saw on the iPhones, that one release. Milky quartz, glow in the dark, that's interesting. It kind of looks like the Photoshop selection filter missed some stuff. Let's see, light upscale, beta upscale, glow in the dark. Again, clouds. I wonder if this is just straight out with, I would say probably straight out with no other stylizations or anything. Cyan. So they said cyan and they got mountains. Interesting. Aqua. Technicolor. So anyway, you can see that the original versus the upscale, you're definitely doing, a lot to the image when you're upscaling it. You're adding detail information. Sometimes, what looks like, maybe looks like dirt or that kind of thing. If you can, here's a really good example of that actually. So you can see here that you've got something here that's really beautiful, but it's nice and soft and there isn't a heck of a lot of detail, would make an excellent underpainting. And then you look at something here, like this upscaled version, and you've got what I consider are defects. I mean, yeah, that's a little piece of water or whatever that's supposed to be as well, but they don't look right. This doesn't look right. That piece here doesn't look right. These pieces don't look right, and these lines don't look right. So if you were talking about purely, using one or the other, I'd probably pick this one. But of course, for detail and for composition and all kinds of other stuff, I'd go with this one because I look at them both more as an underpainting than I do as finished art. So there's a CGA, Computer Graphics Association. I have no idea. Two-dimensional, upscaled, plasma globe, cool. So you can go ahead and look at this site. This is a great site. Again, we're going to link to it on our site. I've already got it bookmarked, but definitely check on this Midjourney styles and keywords references if you use it. The last thing, excuse me. The last thing I would say, there's a number of ways to do this with a number of different sites and different things like that. But I definitely like occasionally to go into the community feed and kind of see what's happening, what people are building, how they're building. Look at this one, that's really cool. Very nice. So what's this prompt? A beautiful woman warrior. Now, if I go here and I do copy command, and let me go ahead and make a new note. So we'll take a note here. And if you see on the Midjourney, on the Midjourney site, you can see the prompt, but you really can't see the full thing, because if you go over to the command where I just typed it, or copied and pasted it, excuse me, this is what we got. So again, this looks like, to me, this looks like a prompt that was re-rolled at least once, because we've got 2 stylizes in here. And that's generally what happens. The GAN tends to throw stuff at the end, in order to comply with your wishes, and tends to screw up the back end, but doesn't screw it up to the point where it won't run the prompt. It just, I guess, maybe ignores double syntax or things like that. So no digital painting. That's an interesting choice of no, because no digital painting means I don't want it to look digital, right? I want it to look realistic. And I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Even the placement, her eye is off of, well, she's looking towards us, but her eye is not completely where it should be. The nose and mouth aren't bad. The ears in a decent place. But I would definitely move things around a little bit, use the liquify tool in Photoshop and screw with things. But wow, it's, from out of the GAN, a couple of revolutions, a couple of spins through the Midjourney GAN, and that's cool. I love this. Look at that. Look at that piece. So let's see, Nick Edwards style with bold brush strokes, romantic, glazing, orange. And again, you can take something like this, which, honestly, except for the fact that there's not a lot of hard edges in it, this is very close to a WPAP style. So congratulations, Jenna Jaffuffles. Jenna Jaffuffles. I'm going to copy your command and totally alter it and change it to make it my own. But that's one of the really great things about this, is that what you're doing is you're seeing, and again, you could take this and change 2 words or change the order of these things and get completely different. In fact, let's go ahead and try that. Let's say graffiti art of cartoon screaming horn skull on elaborate acrylic spray paint by Yoli Shinkawa plus Nick Edwards style with bold brush strokes, romantic glazing, orange, green, yellow, white test. Okay, aspect ratio 2:3, and she wanted a video. I've never been able to get a video out of Midjourney. I don't understand that. So we'll take that video part out. Well, actually, we'll leave it in. Let's go ahead. And a lot of times what I like to do is go original, and then go down here and do edited. And one of the things with Midjourney is that, all the stuff at the end is typically put in, it is put in at the end of the prompt, whereas with something like Noomcrad, NMKD Stable Diffusion, or Automatic, or any of the other ones, you're using sliders and checkboxes and different things, different text boxes to change all these elements in different ways, but same kinds of concepts, just different terminologies, different nomenclatures, that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and keep the let's keep the 2 artists, but we're going to say and style of, and again, I don't know who these artists are, but I'd probably like to check them out. So let's go ahead and go and look at these artists. Yoji Shinkawa, okay. So a little bit of a sketchy comic book kind of look. Really cool artist, very, great artist, but a little more, line drawing, comic book line artwork. Okay, right, so we understand that. And let's close that down. Where are we? Get lost. lost in your tabs. Yeah, this is Stable Diffusion on Discord. Where are you? Well, hop on. I know I had you. Ah, there we go. Oh, right, because we're there. Okay. All right. Go back to this. Let's go ahead and see who Nick Edwards is. And probably with a name like that, we'll just do artist. Not artisty, artist. Thank you. British cartoonist. Okay. Why am I getting crappy resolution here? What's going on? Okay. It's a little bit more graphic style. You know, I can find some like new school cartoonists and stuff I think I'd probably like better than his art, but he's got some cool art, you know, definitely. I'm sure. Oh yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty cool. That's different. Yeah. So, you know, it's a style. So now that I know what they look like, sometimes I'll put down, you know, I'll make bookmarks and do different things. And I do have artist lists that we're working on, people that, you know, I find styles that work together well, put together a book on it and a book and some videos and sell it to you because we have to make money too. So let's go ahead and run this prompt, but let's run it in fast mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this one, paste it. I'm going to say graffiti of art of cartoon screaming horn skull. Let's turn this into pretty water nymph. We'll go way out of range with that. In elaborate. See, it says she put is elaborate. I think she meant in. So by Yoji Shinkawa, in style of Nick Edwards. And then we'll just do bold, multicolor. I always like to see what the colors that they throw up do, because you can always change colors and different things inside of Photoshop at any time, or any other app, you know, that'll let you do that. But I don't want romantic. I want moody. Glazing? I don't know what glazing is. Let's do lens flares. Lens flare. Orange, green, yellow, white. Let's do blue, green, gold, and white. And then let's see. So we're not going to do the video part, right? So grab that and copy that. But before we do that, we're going to put it in fast mode so you don't have to wait for 30 days to get my output. Let's put it in fast mode. Note that once you exhaust your fast hours, you can opt into incremental billing. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Nope. Stable Diffusion local. Thank you. Now, if you paste and do nothing, you're screwed. / imagine. Prompt. Paste. Boom. Invalid parameter. Now see, test is not compatible with quality. So again, this is one of those things where when you roll a prompt or whatever, sometimes you don't realize which ones are going to trip you up. So I'll go ahead and go like this and imagine. Okay, and then we'll go back to our text prompt because might as well keep it all in the family. And we'll do V3Q2. And then I'm going to put no defocus because I like that. And aspect ratio 2:3. Let's do a stylize of 15,000. Okay, let's try that one. Command C, V, and paste. Invalid parameter. Damn it! What did I get wrong? Oh, I got, see, the one space. Okay, so you just go back and bam. That one space. And there we go. Oh, of course. Imagine. Okay, there we go. Now you can see that it's hot, it's activated, it is doing its thing. Fast private, we're at 0%. So we'll check back with that in a moment. Okay, again, you know, you're looking your artists up, putting them in files that you can look at, save their, you know, artwork, and as an example, do notepads, do whatever it is you can do to make notes for yourself, because you're going to need them. You're absolutely going to need them as you're doing these variations and these tests. You know, of course, I think and I see, look at this new algorithm, DALL-E 2, create and publish to earn 10 credits. Oh, well, why not? Let's do the same thing with DALL-E. Let's play, right? Graffiti art. And then we don't need any of the tags at the end, so we're just going to use that one. And we're going to move over to Night Cafe. We're going to put in my text prompt. And we're going to do 9 images, medium size. Why not? We're going to crank this baby. And random, choose. We can add modifiers. That's interesting. Mediums and techniques. This is kind of cool. Let's do. I don't want anything else. We're just, yeah, we're gonna run this prompt. See, you get so, ooh, I want to try this. I want to do that. Okay, let's do 4 images at 4 credits. The prompt contains prohibited words. Graffiti art of cartoon pretty water nymph. Really? What is? Water fairy, maybe? I hate censorship. Hate it. I've earned free credits. Okay, yippee dippy. All right, so there is the Night Cafe creator that we're going to find out what it does here. Look at that. Oh, cool. So again, you know, these are the kind of things that you will find. Night Cafe creator, of course, added DALL-E 2. And when you create with Night Cafe, it's offering you different options inside of the interface that you don't necessarily get with DALL-E. And this is the thing, you know, people are building UIs, they're building interfaces, they're building ways to interact with these tools, and they're improving literally by the day. It is just absolutely incredible what can be done with these tools. So, you know, this went a little off course anyway as far as the prompt goes. But if we go back to Midjourney and we take a look here, you know, just, wow, way different result, way different output. Graffiti art of cartoon pretty water nymph. I mean, you know, let's give it something. Let's give it something that it can hold on to better than nymph. Pretty water. Fairy. Let's try fairy. Okay, and do that fast again. And if we go over to DALL-E, for example, I always forget the DALL-E. There we go, OpenAI. So log in. Okay. So if we go and take the same prompt I put into there and grab our DALL-E and paste, and then get rid of all this stuff because it's garbage as far as DALL-E is concerned, and generate. Let's see what that does. this is a great way to just see what the different GANs do, how they operate. Now look, right here, perfect example. DALL-E 2, right? Also DALL-E 2. Very similar, right? But you're not getting the same thing every time. So if we take the prompt and extend it, let's see, let's go ahead and put it in the front. We're going to go style of 3D render Pixar animation. And that is the other thing too that I have found is animation, great, that I've found is very difficult, or it's much more difficult to do than I thought it would be, which is to describe what exactly you want to a robot. Excuse me. Yeah, to you know, decide what it is you want and then to describe it exactly to a robot so that it can understand and deliver. You know, that's really the hard part, right? Is understand and deliver. So you can see we're getting a much more, you know, 3D kind of look, a rendered kind of feel a little bit here. This is kind of neat, you know, just in the shapes and forms it throws up. It kind of looks like she's riding a little, you know, pot of water or something. Ideas it can bring up. Weird stuff. It's just, whoa. But, you know, again, and with DALL-E, you can go ahead and you can make variations of this particular image and see what it brings up. This interface is absolutely piss poor terrible, and I've gotten the worst results out of any of my GANs with this particular one. And like I said, the stuff you could do just with this, would you run it back through a GAN and turn it into an octopus in Stable Diffusion? I mean, when you're building your library of images, buy bigger hard drives, whatever it takes, you know, put your stuff in the cloud if that's your thing. I do both. But you're building stuff that you never know where these shapes and colors and forms can come in handy, or where they can be in-painted or out-painted, or have the capability to really just blow you away with the potential. And then you have horrible stuff. But yeah, some Joker things I was working on, and this was actually started in Midjourney, went through Stable Diffusion and into DALL-E. So this is 3 different GANs. Again, you know, different GANs. These are combinations of AI art software that have created different applications, like Automatic, for example, which is a web GUI, and Darth Vader flower pot. You know, just all kinds of things you can come up with. The range and complexity of imagery that I have been able to come up with in the last 6 to 7 months, 8 months working on all these things, it definitely changes you as an artist. It shifts you, it changes you, how you feel about things, how you want your art aesthetic to be. It is, retaining focus in this is hard. You are all over the place with just the possibilities of what these tools can do. So I'm excited about bringing them into workflows and really making them efficient and effective at telling stories and creating great characters and creating great environments and scenes and all those kinds of things, and doing it at a pace which is going to be much more, much quicker than I could ever do it simply by myself with my own artwork. Go ahead here and doing puppets. These are these are puppets. I don't know, how did that one start out? A supermodel that looks like a Muppet monster as a Muppet. Yes, that was straight out of DALL-E. And then I brought in images from Stable Diffusion and did some stuff in DALL-E and really warped them out. And then now we get into the fairies. So yeah, there's not too much to show you in DALL-E. I've got some other things I don't want to go over right now. Let's go real quick. I wanted to go into what's that other one? That is experience. Visualize. Visualize with an S.ai. This is one that I wanted to show you guys. because I find the whole thing well, whoever did it is brilliant. They're very smart. They did a great job putting this together. They're going to make a lot of money, and it's going to be not necessarily all that great for artists. So what did they do? Well, create AI art for free and share your best prompts. For free? Really? No, not for free. Because you buy credits and everything. You get some for free, and you can actually do a lot of the images for free. So we'll continue with Google. Yes. Okay. You can actually generate prompts, generate artwork for free, but it's lower resolution, and it is with denoising steps. You can see we've got the tokens here. Zoom in a little bit. So any denoising steps you have, which is basically increasing the quality level, denoising the diffusion, that requires more tokens. So if you have no need for denoising steps, or one of the things that you could potentially do with something like this is generate a lot of images, and then when you have the ability to get your own local version, you could rerun them, you could re-roll them, you could up-res them, you could do any number of different things. Random seed, you can do any random seed you want. Actually, they fixed this, it was bad before. And then you're using Stable Diffusion 1.4. I'm currently using Stable Diffusion version 1.5 checkpoint file, which is about a 7.5 gigabyte file, I think. And so now, we're at 512 by 512. If we go to 768 by 512, that's going to cost me 2 tokens. And they give you 100 to start. So that it's not bad. It's a nice amount of tokens to start out with. You absolutely can do 512 by 512 images with no, basic denoising and whatever creative guidance scale you want, and a custom seed, and you can do these evidently all day long on this, and they will allow you to do it. Now, I have found that I had issues when I was trying to run it more than a few times. It kind of hung the interface and did stuff, but I think that that's just because the thing is so brand new, and the fact that it's brand new and looks as good as it does and runs as well as it does, I'm fairly impressed as far as a Web 2 thing goes. As far as a website goes, they've done a pretty good job. And the tokens aren't that expensive. If you look on the tokens, you get 50 for 99 cents, 100 for $1.49. So they're not terrible in their pricing at all. And I would love to see what their back-end render farm looks like. I would absolutely love to see that. So let's go ahead back into the studio here, and we'll keep everything set how it was, and we'll go ahead and paste that prompt in that we've been using. We'll take out the mid-journey elements, and we'll run for free and see what happens. All right, well, that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. And again, if we run it again, we should get a totally different result. And we hang. This is the problem I was having before with this interface. Let's leave the page. And I was having to delete it. And then gotta rerun the prompt. And for some reason, I don't know why, it was giving me lots of errors like that before, but now when I refreshed it and reloaded it, it seemed to be okay. So let's go ahead and take our denoising steps up. We'll spend 3 tokens, and we will go ahead with the guidance scale of, let's go bring it up to 11. Now the guidance scale, we'll talk about this also when we get into the NMKD stuff too. But gone an hour and a half. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that for 3 credits and see what happens. 3 tokens, everything's token gated. The whole world is token gated. You won't be able to move sideways without paying a token fee. It looks like, again, we may have a hang. Oh, no, we don't. Yay, okay, just took longer. Very cool, very, very cool. Love that style. That is neat. Those lips and that nose, the eyes are great. That's beautiful. I even like the hair and the way that the graphic style is represented there. But again, we've got wildly different results. Here's our mid-journey. Now we're finally getting kind of what, you know, might look like a little fairy starting here, or maybe here with some wings, but nothing tremendous. So let's see, let's go ahead and let's re-roll V2. And let's say winged flying fairy. And then detailed. And you know, you can change around the words and different things. And again, this is about iteration. All of this is about, you know, trying and getting iteration after iteration and finding something you like and running it back through and loading the image initially. When you do mid-journey, you're going to be loading an image from a URL. So it has to be a valid URL that ends in a .jpg or a .png. But you can upload it to your server, do whatever, you know, upload it to a Dropbox if it'll give you a web link, that kind of thing. And then you can start off with an image and then really help move things forward towards your ultimate goal by using starter images. But, you know, really neat. I mean, you know, you could absolutely see something abstract like this if we keep variating it and whatever, and even painting a fairy body into it and having it flying around in an environment. Again, painting for parts and pieces. So let's go ahead and upres 2, and we'll variate 4 with the same variation, and then we'll re-roll the prompt as well. And then let's re-roll, let's variate, no, I already variated 2 there. Okay, let's, do we want to variate any of this? Not really, I've got some stuff that kind of looks like that already. And another thing too is that when you get, you know, the more detailed you get with your prompts, depending on the GAN or the, you know, version of Stable Diffusion or whatever that you're using, you can overwhelm the GAN as well with things, and then it kind of just breaks down and throws up anything at once. So, you know, you think about that. But you can see here that, you know, right now with the Night Cafe Creator, with the free images that it gave us, we're obviously low on the creative guidance scale because everything's really blurry and there's no real sharp lines. But, you know, this is really pretty. I mean, you know, any artist, you know, who would have drawn stuff like this a couple of years ago, you know, I could have hired him for stuff. You know, if they could consistently bang this kind of stuff out. Okay, where are we? I don't know. Go ahead and, you know, we can download that. We can variate it. And again, I've got, you know, 169 credits in Dolly left. We can try out painting. Yeah, once this is rendered. Yeah, again, you know, we're going crazier and crazier on these things. Look at that, these abstract forms and shapes. They're beautiful. And variate that and see what happens. I can't tell you how fun it is just to sit here and variate and go nuts. So getting into that. Local, right? What do you need to run Stable Diffusion locally? Well, just about anything will do, but not anything will do. So typically you're going to be wanting, you know, an RTX NVIDIA graphics card. There are other, you know, there are things that run on AMD. There's actually, there's one called Diffusion B that runs on M1 Max, which I found to be terribly slow and crashed my Mac Mini because of page swaps and all that other stuff. Excuse me. So there's that. When you're talking about an RTX 3070, for example, I think that card is probably, you know, still around $800 or $900, something like that. You are looking at, you know, at 100. These numbers I know don't mean anything, but at a lower creativeness scale and 512 by 512 pixels with, you know, when you can upres them, actually at the end, you can 4x them. But rendering out at 512 by 512 at a fairly low guidance scale, you're looking at, you know, 10 seconds an image, I mean, 15 seconds, 20. It's not that big a deal. When you start cranking up the sampling data and all that other stuff, samples, the amount of samples and all that, then you can really start to run into minutes, you know, at a time for a render. And what I like to do is and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it to the point where I make a lot of notes. If I'm working on stuff like this during the day, and I'm not working on this all the time, but if I'm working on this kind of stuff during the day and I'm typing in text prompts and I'm making notes and I'm finding out what works and kind of doing that, what I want to be doing is building up a list, because you can run a full list of prompts with different guidances and all kinds of different things overnight. But what I've been doing right at the very moment, because I just haven't had the time to set all that up, everything is about time, right? When I set it up now, what I'm typically doing is kind of finding a sweet spot of something that I want, the text prompt that I want with the variants and all the weights and maybe different artists blended together, whatever that's given me, I work towards something that I say, okay, that's looking really good. And then at the end of the night, I'll set up a render so that it just pumps out 150 or 200 images at really high quality. And then I can get a lot of different variations. I'm going to get a lot of crap. I'm going to get a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to get some really neat stuff, but it's not all going to be usable, but it's all going to be interesting. And it's amazing. I've got thousands of images I really kind of need to go through more closely and weed out the ones that I really want. Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to take a look at my microphone. Yes, I was trying to take a look at my microphone. And do I have mute? Okay, good. All right. Where are we? Okay, so let's go back to Noomcrad. What's up, Noom? First message I sent him, he's like, I'm not into crypto, bros. It's like, I am not a crypto bro. All right, so Noomcrad, I have no idea if he's a good guy or not, but he made an app, and I'm using it, so thank you. ZenMKD Stable Diffusion, I've given him, I think like $6 for it so far. It's a downloadable tool for Windows. It is free if you want to. It's donationware. He's asking for, pardon me, frog in my throat this morning. He's asking for donations, and if you feel like donating to him, I have, and I find the app very helpful and useful, and it was a great way to get started with Stable Diffusion running it locally. So I've done quite a bit with it already, and I figured we'd take a look in a minute with that, but I also wanted to show you there's another one called the Automatic 1111, of course, 1111, right? Automatic 1111 Stable Diffusion. And this is a much more deep web GUI that you set up using a git clone repo. Again, shout out to Scott Detweller for helping me out on that with one of his videos. But you basically clone the repo on Windows, add a couple lines of code real quick to a batch file. It's very, very easy. And whenever you launch it, it'll auto-update, it'll check everything, and you will be good to go and be working in AI. Let's take a look at Hugging Face real quick. These are concepts. So what you can do with Stable Diffusion is do textual inversion concepts libraries. And what that allows you to do, if we can, let's go ahead and log in. All right, so we have the Runway Stable Diffusion, Runway ML Stable Diffusion v1.5. That's the one I got, right? Diffusers. Yeah, okay. So here you'll see that these are CKPT or checkpoint files, and you've got two different ones. One that uses less VRAM, which is says suitable for inference or fine tuning. Basically, inference meaning basics, and then fine tuning, you would want something bigger. The pruned EMA only is 4.27, and the one that I'm using is 7.7. And in automatic, what you want to do is rename that model.ckpt, and I can show you how that's done. But in Hugging Face, what you have is you have styles that you can load and concepts, excuse me, that will allow you, here it is, run stable diffusion concepts. So the conceptualizer, this allows you to kind of take a look at different styles that are available and what you can do with them. And you can copy them directly into your git clone repo. You can copy them directly into your installation, your local install, by cloning the model repo. And that's probably the easiest way to go for me. Or you can, and see there's no downloads of this one, but that's how you would clone it. And so here's an anime style. And if you go back to the prompt, I believe, do I select that one? Anime fairy car. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Run. Half the time it doesn't run because it's so busy. So, let me see. Anime fairy car. It's a weird text prompt. So, it's supposed to run. It's supposed to allow you to select the model. I never did get that to work right. I don't know why. Navigate the top 100, use 600 from the library. Right. And that's the library. So you can, anyway, you have to look through Hugging Face, sign for a free account. You've got concepts that you can download that's a little bit more advanced than we might get into today. But ideally, this was supposed to be, I thought, you could check a style and then see the style over here, but it's not looking like that's happening. Here, let's see. Let's try this one. Keep clicking it to make sure it's selected. Let's try that, run that. It's supposed to give you the idea of running these different concepts. And concepts are a kind of a dumbed down version of like the Dream Booth stuff where you're doing training and via what they call textual inversion. Yeah, I don't see that matching, I don't see it matching this. So I don't know what's going on there. I just look through the styles. I look through different the concepts. I look through different concepts that I like and want to see or maybe emulate or have a little bit of fun with, and then I'll go ahead and I'll download those concepts and try and use them in Stable Diffusion with NMKD. And I haven't had a ton of luck, but I also haven't been a total failure either. So more for lack of time to play with all of the buttons and tools and whiz bangs and everything else. And I'm actually installing another, like I said earlier, I'm installing another copy of Windows on another machine and jacking in a 3070 for the time being so that I can play with that. So this is Dream Studio. This is another one that's online. It's an open, not open, it's not free, you pay for it. But this one pissed me off so bad because I've done tons of prompts in it and they don't exist. And I had to go and actually save them all or they wouldn't save. And I'm sitting there generating things and whatever, and nothing's saving. So I'm kind of over Dream Studio. It really pissed me off. I was like, come on. Theme, dark, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, so Dream Studio, but it does, it does some interesting stuff. Let's see, let's try the same thing. Give us this one. Oh, come on. Give us this one. C. And over to Dream Studio. Why do I have Dream Studio Lite? not giving me a prompt. What's going on? Oh, there we go. It's down there. Okay. All right, paste and dream. I'll just use the standard config scale here. That's kind of cool. Now I'm going to save that. I have saved the images off, but so now I can inpaint maybe. No. I'm looking at, okay, that's undo, that's close, clear image guide. Oh, no. I don't want that. Let's see, web interfaces. Well, now I have a history. I've reached the end of the history. Great. Now let's try that again. Let's go back. I don't want that. I think it broke. I think I broke it. Oh, there it is. Look at that. That's terrible. And sometimes, you know, you get stuff and it's like, God, what were you thinking, Gan? I didn't want that at all. And it looks like crap. And that's kind of the price you pay. And, you know, honestly, I don't necessarily think that companies are going out of their way to make the images look worse. But, you know, if you're paying by the credit, getting what you want, you know, isn't always in the best interest of the company trying to give you the service. So, oh yeah, that's not what I want. There we go. Thank you. Wrong prompt. And I probably only have about 60 or 70 images left on this. But again, once you've got Dream Studio, once you have the, did I say Dream Studio? Once you have Stable Diffusion running locally, and you have a decent graphics card and everything that you're working with, playing with these kinds of things and paying for them become a lot less important. So I would say that if you are not able to do things locally, if you are running things with, you know, via credits on websites and using CPU time or GPU time from other services and that kind of thing, and you have to be much more frugal with your prompts, studying what's in the feeds, going to lexica.art, the Midjourney public feeds, you know, a bunch of different places that show you different AI art with prompts and commands that you can copy and then kind of hack apart and look at. And, you know, don't take somebody's prompt and just rip the damn thing off and run it or change one word. You know, try to mix things up. Try to change one of the artists out if there's 3 of them. Try to do different things. Try to find the styles of artists that you relate with as far as your aesthetic and see which, you know, like if that one and that one and that one, if there's 3 of them that you can put together that kind of make what you feel is your style, then run with that, you know, at least for a series or something like that. But, you know, this is interesting. It can kind of give me some interesting stuff. So let's take the config scale up. You know, this is kind of the creativity scale, just how much the image will be like your prompt, you know, and so it's not really true, but okay. We'll spend some extra steps and let's do 2 images. And we're using Stable Diffusion 1.5 and we're going to use PLMS if we have it here. Why can't we change that? One of the things I have found is that the sampler, which for some reason I can't change now. I wonder if I go back to 1.4. No, it's just using KDPM2 ancestral, which is interesting. So if this is the one that it is solidifying on, I'm going to make a note of that because I am working on more information about those samplers, and I will show you some information on that in a bit. Stable Diffusion, clip guidance. So we've got clip guidance, random seed. Let's do a random seed. Doesn't really matter. And let's run it. Oh, seed is out of range. Of course it is. Okay. And then dream. Dream. So evidently Dream Studio is now saving a history, but it didn't save any of my other stuff. So bad on you, Dream Studio. And that's the result. Not much better than the last one. No, and of course now I'm going to open Photoshop. I forgot. So that's 1 and 2. So you can see it definitely gave me very similar results, but one's going to the left and one's going to the right. One's more blurry and more in perspective, and one's not. So again, oops, consistency is not your friend, at least in the current iterations and most of the things that people are using out there for AI artwork. Stability it's named that way because it's funny, I think. So that's Dream Studio in a nutshell. Not a huge fan. Dream Fusion, look at this, text to 3D using 2D diffusion. This is kind of scary, okay? I mean, come on, are they really replacing us all with robots? Well, evidently. These are 3D images, 3D models, I mean, that are created from photos, and sometimes one photo. These are spin-arounds, generated objects, composing images into a scene, or objects into a scene, mesh exports. Yeah, I mean, you know, take a look at this. It's not bad. You know, it's not bad at all. So where are we going here, people? I don't know. It's very interesting. We're going to be experience drivers. We're going to be storytellers. We're going to be visual architects. We're going to be artists. But what is art? What is an artist? What is a creator? All these questions are serious, and they're being torn apart on a daily basis all over the place. What is going on? How do we deal with all this? How do we integrate it into workflows? What will it mean for the future of artists? What does it mean to even get paid to be an artist anymore? Lots of questions that it brings up, but exciting. I'm not scared. I'm not, you know, I'm excited about new tools. I'm excited about new technologies. I don't ever look at it like, oh, more, I mean, yeah, there can be more competition for sure, but I don't look at it like that way. I just look at it like I'm going to get better, and I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to continue to kick butt and take names and hope that's good enough. So, and we still have 0 watchers. 1 watching now. That would be me. Okay, and let's real quick go to our local installations. So I'm going to go to screens 4, and I'm going to connect with you and my PC. Okay, so we are currently working with Stable Diffusion using an MKD Stable Diffusion GUI. Now, if you'll bear with me for just 1 moment, I'm going to take a 2-minute break, and I will be right back. Okay, let's get back to it. All right, so we are in Stable Diffusion with the NumCrad and an MKD Stable Diffusion GUI. And you can see that the interface is fairly simple compared to, let's say, the automatic GUI. So this is the automatic 1111 GUI. You have text to image to image, extras, ping info, checkpoint merger, train, settings, all these buttons. You can put in a random artist with this button. Just click there and generate, and we can generate a prompt. One thing you can't do is run both of these at the same time, because you're going to crash your NVIDIA card and probably crash Windows. I'm not even going to attempt it, but we're doing a decent amount of sampling steps. We're using the PLMS sampler here, and we've got a width of 768 by 512. We have restore faces on. We don't need that on because we're not doing faces currently, but you can see we're doing a babbling brook, and just amazing. I mean, like right there, I know that I can take out this plant and use it in other stuff that I'm doing, jungle scenes and different things like that. So I can definitely do some with that. I'll take your sampling steps down a little bit and we'll rerun it. And again, all of these different sampling methods, I have looked very hard to find explainers of what they are and different things, and I haven't found a great amount of information yet on them and what they actually do. And now I'm loading Photoshop again. Okay, let's see, where are we? Let's see this video tools, recents. Let's see, where's my ping? Okay. I'm opening Photoshop. I'm not sure. No, I don't want that silly. I want this. Do I have Photoshop open? Okay, well anyway, back to this. So we are generating things on the fly. You can see our photo of a bubbling brook in a jungle oasis. Now let's go ahead, and I will have to copy that prompt. So let's see. Go back to this, and so we're graffiti art of winged flying fairy. Okay, so I'm going to have to go ahead. I want this whole, because I'm going to try, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you taking this prompt. I have to go over to Notion, and I have to transfer notes this way sometimes off of my that's not what I want. Come on, log in. Email. Continue with Google. Skip. Okay. So you'll have to forgive me for just one moment. I'm trying to do a note here, and it's not. Okay, let's just. I'll have to friggin' type it. Okay. Well, I'll type it. Big deal. Okay. We're on different machines. Graffiti art of cartoon pretty water nymph. Cartoon pretty water nymph. And I'm doing this just because I want you to see, elaborate crooks. I want you to see the style that each one brings to the table. And I'll run this in Dolly again as well. By Yoji Shinkawa, sorry, this is going to take a minute. Yoji Shinkawa. And style of Nick Edwards. Bold, multi-color brush strokes. lens flare, blue, green, gold, white. Moody, lens flare, blue, green, gold, white. Okay. So let's do that and see what happens. Sorry about the typing time there. And what do we get? What do we get? And so there you go. I mean, much different look. Same kind of, prompting, same prompt and everything else. We got PLMS, and let's go to Euler and run it. And again, I wanted to do this video and this kind of sit down. We've been going for 3 hours now. Actually, I'm sorry, wait, 2 hours now, sorry. And I wanted to show you all the differences and variations and kind of the explorations that I do. It's much more free form. It's not, this is a step-by-step guide. This is just so you can get a really good handle on the fact that you can't get a really good handle on anything. That's really what it comes down to. So again, that's Euler. We've got, what is that? HEUN. DPM2, so let's try DPM2. We'll run that. And if we go here, so again, we're running Stable Diffusion version 1.5 with the automatic GUI right here. And we're doing 768 by 512 pixels. I've got Restore Faces on, which is good for this one. We can do our seed. Let's go ahead and take our seed, and we'll do, let's say, 2, 3, 3, 4, 8, 7, 2, 1, 2. And now you can see we're even getting some nudity. So I hope that YouTube doesn't ban me for nudity. This is art. Stop it. It's art. 768 by 512. Again, batch count config scale is at 13. So if we go and take this prompt right here, and we bring it over to our NMKD Stable Diffusion, paste that in there, bring our config count up to 13, and our sampling steps right now is at 71. We'll leave this we'll put this at 140, kind of double the generation steps. And then with the seed, we can go ahead and grab our seed that we're doing here. Oh, wrong one, sorry. Command, Control, Alt, blah. Control C here, and let's paste it over to here. If you tap on this image, it'll bring up the image large, and you have to hit escape. So we're going to go 768 by 512. We're going to use the PLMS to start, or we could use DPM 2, and like we were, and then we'll go here with our seed and paste that. And let's go ahead and run it. Now we have 111 images set to generate, so we could let this run forever, but we're just going to, of course, pull one out of our hat here. And as soon as that one's done with NMKD, I'll go ahead and run the prompt over here with automatic. So again, what I want to stress throughout this entire process that we've been talking about for the past 2 hours is that it's a brand new thing. It's been around for a while, about a year and a half. I mean, maybe even up to 2 years, depending on who you ask about it. But the tools have really started to come out. There have been all kinds of advancements. There's been new checkpoints made, Dream Booth, text to 3D inversion, all those different things. But what it's doing is it's got the Wild West feel again, like we were back in the 90s with 3D graphics, that anything goes, that what works, works, and you just kind of throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. So you've got a ton of different people using all of these different sampling methods, all these open source methods, the Stable Diffusion checkpoint files, all these libraries, people pulling data from the internet, making their own stuff. It's a wild place. You cannot necessarily say, I'm going to get this and this and this out of this, and then at the end of the day have those things. Sometimes it may be easier for you to actually make the art yourself. It really is sometimes. But a lot of times you can really get there much faster with the iteration and the different things that you can that you can do with these tools that allow you to just visualize and create and do things that are just mind-blowing. You'll have to excuse me, I lost my mouse wrist rest, and I'm trying to look for it and I can't find it. Moving on. Okay, so you can see that at 140 generation steps using the DPM2, you know, it's running, it took about probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes to generate. And then we're going to see what it's coming up with in just a second here. Boom, there it is. Okay, so again, we've got some of the same style kicking here, don't we? You know, if we look at the two images side by side, you could almost say that they were done by the same person with a little bit different style. But let's go ahead and run this one now and generate this one. Oh, that's DPM2 ancestral. Okay, that's close enough. I'll put it back to DPM2. I was going to give you a quick look too, also an image I saved of some sampling steps and different variations of images that we'll get to, but let's see where this goes. So we're getting there, closing in on the final result. 90, and done. Okay, now look at that. Very interesting. So much more of the style that we're getting now. If I go to DPM2, be interesting to see what happens there. Okay, so let's go back real quick. I wanted to touch on that one site as well that is really doing some cool stuff. Where's my freaking... Where is my Safari? I keep on losing my Safari, but it's over on the other screen. There we go. Okay. So, let's see. Again, you know, there's tons of different people out there that are trying to help you and show you what Midjourney and other GANs can do with different styles. So here's a really good example of some styles that we could look at. Go ahead and switch over real quick. There we go. So yeah, we've got you know, standard Japanese anime style, Pixar movie style, cyberpunk, grunge. This is a neat one. It's always neat to see how people put stuff together. You're not always going to get the same things, of course, out of any of these different variants that the person is using, but it's interesting that the steampunk stuff, I've gotten a lot of stuff that looks like that with little flower elements and stuff thrown in just because, and I'd love to see what his prompt was. Using design genre as a style. Yeah, here you can get some of the keywords and subtypes. Using artist name as a style, using the rendering lighting properties. Here's another really good one. That's cool. So volumetric, cinematic, octane render, softbox lighting. That's cool. Softbox, that's neat. You know, when you're thinking about prompts and all the things to write, half the times when you see something like, you know, softbox lighting, you're like, wow, why didn't I think of that? You know, glowing lights. You know, I've done glowing lights before, but softbox is really cool. That's a good idea. And again, thank you to, we're catching streams here. Thank you to Lars Nielsen. So this is Medium, his Medium article, I believe. Is this Medium? Yes, Medium. And he's showing you what he's doing, and it's awesome. And we're sharing, and we're caring. Sharing and caring. Gotta share. Imagine firefighters. Dash. I don't know why he'd have two sets of, okay, well, we're Midjourney, right there. Imagine firefighters, dash S6000. And, you know, so that's all he needed to type, firefighters. And so firefighters at the stylized scale of 700, of course, is giving him much more, you know, firefighter-y stuff. And then with a 20,000 scale, it's giving him much more fire and a lot less firefighter. So that makes a lot of sense right there. That's something that from a stylized perspective, you can take a look at and see, okay, that makes sense. Things that make sense are always good. In this space, a lot of things don't make a lot of sense, so you just kind of mash buttons and figure stuff out. But there are a lot of things that do make sense. They're just not well documented. Again, low chaos, medium chaos, high chaos. Very interesting. Very interesting. I appreciate this article. Resolution, aspect ratio, of course, we've covered. Image as a prompt. So again, here you've got, you know, this image right here, we could potentially take. No, it's a 404, of course it is. Bad blogger. All right. The image generator will take the cues. So anyway, yeah, that's, you know, if you type in the imagine prompt, you know, and then you hit the space bar and you're ready to type in your prompt, you can paste the URL, and you give it a space, and then what you want, and any variations and any other checks at the back end, you know, aspect ratio, variations, quality, version, that kind of thing. Weights to image prompts, weights to text prompts, filtering out words from your image. So again, that word, the no, in unstable diffusion, in the automatic, you have a negative prompt and you say Control Enter or Alt Enter to generate. So let's try that. Because I've had varying results and varying luck with both in-painting, out-painting, and negative weighting. And probably I've worked very hard on all of this stuff and worked very long hours, but just the amount of different variations and combinations of variations you can do, it's like playing the lottery. You can never play all the numbers, right? So let's do a negative prompt. And let's say, let's try it without hair, see what happens. And we're going to hold down Control and then hit Generate. And let's see what that does. So I'm constantly blown away by what it can do. I think a lot of people are. Shutterstock is announcing that it is going to have an AI art category for selling AI art. And now you can see, look at that. I mean, we've gotten a really interesting fairy with a kind of screwed up body here, but no hair. So at least very little hair. And if we run that over here, what we would do here is we would put that in brackets. So we would say hair and put that in and generate. And this one is actually taking a little bit longer to generate, partly because we have the seed up. I'm on video. What's up? Oh, okay. Go ahead. So we've got the seed up a little bit more. We've actually got it doubled, so it's taking, you know, double the amount of time. And we are getting more detail, as you can see in the image, in some of the hair and different areas. Really cool. I mean, I love the style that I'm getting out of this particular one. Again, that's, you know, running at double the generation steps, so I should probably take that down or bring this up. But this one does take, you know, I think they both take pretty much the same amount of time if they're set to the exact configuration scales. And I can probably take this one down a little bit once it finishes. And let's see, let's go to Safari. And yeah, the visualize.ai. I wanted to go back to this site real quick because it's very interesting what they've been doing. And I wanted to take a look at it, like stock imagery. So metaverse and VR. And if you watched one of my previous videos, you know that I've got, you know, a bunch of VR images that are, I wouldn't say similar to this, but, you know, a bunch of VR images. So, you know, there's the steps, there's the scale. And now here, okay. This guy's using interesting prompts here with the double parentheses. This is a separator, some kind of separator. And again, you really have to kind of play with these things and I think this is some kind of weighting. We'll have to look up the parentheses, but for the time being, what I can do is just copy this and we will paste it into our notepad file here. And just make a note to look up parentheses. I really can't type today. MSD. Okay, and then underline bold. Okay, notes are good. Keep notes. Definitely keep notes. Okay, so we're still generating this one, really? Oh no, wait, we canceled that. So if we go to here, we've got all kinds of images. Yeah, that one rendered out a little bit better. So if I take down the, oops, things pop off weird. Okay, so I take down the sampling to like 80 and then generate, and then come over to here and take it to 80. And this actually, the NMKD Stable Diffusion, if you go to the settings and settings model file, so you can see what we're using that model file. We've got 1.4 and 1.5 installed. Using the GPU, application settings, advanced mode, unlock higher values for sliders. So when I click this off and I close it, you can see that my slider values are similar to the slider values on automatic, but if I go to the tab and bring them back in advanced mode, I can crank the slider all the way to 500, and I can take the guidance scale all the way up to 50 from like, I think like 20 or 30 or something like that. So it definitely allows you to crank things up. So I'm going to bring this back to 12. And then we're going to go 80 here. And then we'll generate and see what happens. And then we'll come back over here and generate and see what happens there. We'll actually go back to PLMS and let's cancel this out. We'll go to PLMS. Yes, and then generate. And you can see it's cruising pretty good. You're looking at probably, 30 or 40 seconds per image. You can get this down much faster, of course, when you take down the generation steps. And the seed will also be a factor as well. We can take and reset the seed, actually. Watch this. And this is actually still, I think this might be taking a little bit longer than the automatic version for some reason. And again, all these sliders and settings, there's no standardization. So that's one of the problems, is that you'll find that in 3D software as well. The Blender does something differently from Cinema 4D and so on and so forth, because there's not a ton of standardization. And when you get standardization, it's simply because it has to be, X, Y, and Z, those kind of things. And then, okay, that was interesting. Let's take the seed out. We'll generate that and see what this one does, and then we'll take the seed out of this one, bring it back to, you do -1 for a regular random seed. And so that's going to generate that. And again, we've got, one example of just, one thing that you can change right off the get-go that's going to dramatically change your output result is the guidance scale. So the creative guidance is, what it's supposed to be is that at about 7.5, somewhere around there, you're supposed to be, in the more realistic range of creativity. When you crank it to 8, 9, 10, you're getting more creative. 11, 12, you're getting really creative. You take it to something like 18, and you're going to get super creative. Now, if you see this, I mean, look at that. That's almost got like a Silver Surfer look to it. But I love the background style now. Okay, so we've taken this to 18. We could generate that, but we're going to go over here and generate this with, oh, you know what? Cancel that. Can I cancel that? Okay. I canceled it, and look at that. That is the diffusion field that it started to generate. So it's generating point cloud data. It's calling for information from the databases of images and all the metadata in them, and it's starting to generate this diffuse point cloud. And as it continues to build up the information in this point cloud data, it's rendering out the details and it's creating an actual image. So if I hit generate without the control key, hopefully it will ignore the fact that I said no hair, because this second box right here is for negative prompt weighting. We've kept our sampling steps at 80, put it back to PLMS, and you can see it's cranking pretty good. I think that automatic may be a little bit faster overall than MKD, but it's not. I'd have to time it and stopwatch it and try to set everything exactly the same, and I really don't necessarily think that's possible. So if we go into our config scale again, we take this to 18, and then we'll go ahead and rerun this. And so it looks like it doesn't have a lot of hair in there still, and I wonder why. Is that, because I know it says here, press Control Enter or Alt Enter to generate. So Alt would be Option. So let's try, Body, and then Alt Enter. Okay, because I'm doing this on a VNC client and I'm tunneling through to a Windows machine, I'm not necessarily sure if the Control or the Alt is working how it should be, and I may actually need to go over to the machine and test that out. But let's see what it does with no body. Hey, look at that! Now that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. We're getting some really, really neat effects out of that. So I could even let's go ahead and crank this one up, and let's go ahead and do the same thing with this. Instead of hair, we're going to say zoom in a little to see that. Okay, we'll say body, and we've got a guidance to 18, and our config, we'll push that up just a little bit for fun. It's about, we're getting about the same thing, so I just want to see what the detail will help with. But again, these are incredibly powerful tools. These are incredibly powerful tools, and I don't want you to look at them as the be-all, end-all, as the final result, as the thing that, you're going to be an artist because of this. You're going to be an artist with this. In addition to this, you will be an artist also because you do blank. I don't think you can just leave it at this. I think we're going to have a flood of images that ultimately they may be beautiful or whatever it is, but they don't make sense. There's problems, there's issues, there's dimensionality, there's some stuff that you want and it looks kind of cool in warped perspective mode, or her eyes kind of neat bigger, or whatever it might be. But there's art that's unfinished, or there's art that serves no real purpose except to be art. And if that's the case, okay. But beyond that, you're going to need to do things with this art. You're going to need to create characters. You're going to need to create stories. You're going to need to have consistency between images and styles and all these different things. So this is just the start. If you're into art and you love creating and you've found AI art and you think, oh my God, I'm in love, keep going. There's way more out there than just this AI art. There's Photoshop, there's Blender, there's Cinema 4D, there's Maya, there are all the 2D tools, Illustrator, compositing, After Effects, video, the animation tools that are coming out for this. We haven't even scraped those because I haven't even gotten there yet, to be perfectly honest. I'm so damn enthralled with this stuff. And again, look at this. We've got, something kind of similar, but yet totally different to that. Let's run this prompt again and just see what happens. All right, now let's go back real quick to, this app, or this website, excuse me, visualize.ai. Again, you know, we've got, it seems like everything is $199, but we've also got free, right? So free, a tomato, nursery print, 4K, high resolution, hyper realistic, zebra nursery print. Okay. Works best with Dolly. Objects on pure white background. Add to studio. Open in studio. Oh, look at that. It's a tomato. Okay, I don't want that. If I reload, it's not going to let me do it. There we go, back. Okay, so that's weird. Let's see space. Let's go take a look at space. And, you know, again, look, I mean, you know, these are all free. So we're talking about free or $1.99 or, you know, what are images worth? What are they worth to you? What are they worth to me? What are they worth to anybody? I think that you're going to find moving forward as an artist, you might very well find that your art is no longer valued just for its pure art, just for the pure sake of art. I mean, you know, there's a lot of art out there, so saying that as a blanket statement is, of course, ridiculous. But when you're looking at it from a perspective of, say, you're a painter like Bob Ross or Thomas Kincaid, you know, you paint landscapes and little cottages and houses and things like that. I don't see a future for you, honestly. I mean, it's very hard to see a future 20, 30, 50 years down the road where anything but paintings that were painted before the digital revolution would be valuable, of course. But having traditional painting skills to do actual paintings will still have some value. But when you're able to create landscapes and little houses and cottages and in a forest and all those kind of, and you're able to do it so amazingly, so quickly, and so easily, there has to be a level where you decide, okay, I can't do that anymore because that's like all that over there. So what am I going to do to separate myself, to make myself a better artist, to make myself more compelling? Some artists go with a particular style. Some artists may have a style that they find and that becomes their style and that becomes their thing. And that's something I'm jealous of. I've never had that. I've always been so interested in all kinds of different art and art styles and cartooning and 3D and illustration that it's so all over the map that, you know, ADHD, right? You know, don't take pills for that, just deal with it. Not psychological advice. I just deal with stuff because you have to, and you have to focus and you have to concentrate. But I don't see artists being traditional artists in that sense going forward for much longer. I think that we're going to be experience drivers, we're going to be world builders, we're going to be creators that are able to take and massage any amount and number of pixel data, polygonal data, geometry into the metaverse, into print. You're going to need to know your tools, just like you always have needed to know your tools. If you're really good at what you do, you want to know your tools well. And so if you're, I just highly encourage you, if you are just finding out about art and AI art and all these other things, and you're finding you have a creative streak and you have some talent and skills in doing all this engineering of prompts and issuing art, maybe you're making money on it. Congratulations. I have no problem with somebody sitting down, spitting out stuff out of a can and minting it and somebody else buying it. It's art. You know, people are going to say, well, it's not art, or you're not an artist, or that's a philosophical argument I don't want to get into right now. The whole point is, yes, you are making something, you are helping to create something that somebody else finds beautiful, somebody else considers art, and they're buying it. Now, that said, we got a problem, right? Because everything's going for $2 or it's free or whatever. So how do you protect yourself against being priced out of a market or being priced out of a business, you know, an industry altogether? You're dealing with, you know, I did pirate ships. These are actually a little bit better than the ones I did as far as the sales go. Come back. Why can't I see you? Yeah, the sales are a little bit better. So again, here we've got another prompt I'm going to go ahead and copy and play with at a later date. Come on, thank you. Play with at a later date because I really want to see what these parentheses, and then of course you've got like this, which again, the syntax, I'm finding syntax, proper syntax. I think that's supposed to be the proper syntax with no space there, and I don't know why this was put in parentheses or what this does. And if we go ahead, if we were to go ahead and run this, we'll have to do some tests. We'll definitely be coming back with a lot more tests and a lot more results and showing you different things, because one of the best ways I've found to find out how these GANs operate is to go through these prompts, look, rip things apart, test half a prompt out with another prompt, mix things in, and that kind of stuff. But again, you're talking about just amazing stuff. So we'll take out the body. Take out the body and let's do something. Water, cartoon pretty. Let's try evil. Water nymph. Everybody does evil. Evil. There's always good in evil, but good should always win. Doesn't always win, but it should. Always wins in the end. All right, so let's go over here. Okay, we are doing it. And now, if, again, too, let's go ahead and let's take out this. Just trying to show you different ways to get things. So let's go style of Tim Burton colon 0.7, and let's do style of H.R. Giger 0.3. Okay, let's try that. Let's see how, oh, look at that one. That's interesting. Not too pretty, but it's interesting. So there we go. And again, I don't want to run both of these. I think I'm pushing my luck if I do, so I will refrain. I'll be a good boy. Oh, we're still rendering over here. Well, son of a gun. See, sometimes when I hit cancel, it doesn't do it. So let's cancel that out. And oh, we're actually running. We were running 2 GANs at a time, and it wasn't crashing. Yay! Love it. Love it. Let's see what she does. Come on, bring it. Wow, look at that. Was that Tim Burton and Giger? Really? And again, you can take these down. I don't like to take them down too low. And a lot of people will like take these just way down and iterate at 256 by 256 and try and find something they like, and it tends to throw me off. Wow, that's really weird. That looks more like Picasso than Giger. So style of Tim Burton. Let's take out Giger and let's do Pixar animation style 3D render. Let's see what that does. And again, these are, I encourage you to find ways that you can blend various artist styles and various looks and feels from movies or different things together and blend them to make your own style of aesthetic. I think that's where the real true power of this kind of stuff comes in, is finding that aesthetic that's kind of yours, even if it's not your style, but just an aesthetic for a series or for a particular thing. You've got consistent line weights, consistent colors, shading, whatever it might be, variations, that kind of stuff. So that was interesting. All right, let's go ahead and let's take this out and let's do a 3 random artists. Okay, and that's how you do it with this Stable Diffusion automatic GUI. And then we're going to go ahead and generate. Let's see what that does. Again, finding the, you may want a fairy standing on a water lily, but depending on the look you're going for, it may require the combination of multiple different artists to get that look, and you may not know what the artists are until you experiment and look around. Wow, look at that. That gave some interesting results. So let's go ahead and let's cut these guys out and do one more. Let's do style of Peter Moorbacher and style of let's do WLOP ArtStation. Okay, let's try that one. And you're going to, a lot of times you're going to have the image where it isn't, pardon me, you're going to have an image where a lot of times you don't have the full image that you want. You don't have the, the full head. You don't have the full body. You're going to have to take pieces and move them around, whatever it might be. So you're going to have to really learn how to take those images and bring them in and do other things with them in other applications. Let's go ahead and take the guidance scale down on this because obviously we're getting some craziness. So let's go do 11.5. And again, that shows you we were getting, oh, I've spelled Moorbacher wrong, great. Well, let's cancel that. There we have our, diffusion going, and you can, stop that at any time. And the nice thing about the automatic one is that you can see the diffuse model that's being created, and when it stops, you can see where it stopped. With the NMKD, you can't currently do that. But again, look at that. That is just too cool. We can create some great art out of this. And it is, it's art now, I guess. Oh, I hate doing that. Close down my screens. Okay. Giving me one screen and not the other. Very strange. Let's go back. There we go. Thank you. Okay. I always accidentally click that little shiny red button. Okay. So, yeah, the diffusion model. Style, I'm not liking that style. So Peter Moorbacher is going to go. I'm going to go. Let's do Boris Vallejo. I do Serpieri, but I'm afraid I'd get porn. You gotta watch it with these GANs. They're kind of pervy. So, I'm not gonna run. Should I run it? Nah, I'll just let it plug along on its own. All right, it runs much faster when you don't have another GAN competing for the NVIDIA card. Okay, so we got 100. Oh, now look at that. Wild. It's throwing body parts all over the place, of course, just like normal. So let's go ahead and graffiti art of cartoon, pretty evil, water nymph, and elaborate, bold, multicolor brush strokes. Let's try symmetrical body, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. And you try and be specific and you think, oh, I'm going to fool the GAN. I'm going to make it do what I want. Nope. It's just not the way it works out typically. A lot of this is trial and error. A lot of this is redoing. A lot of this is finding a piece of the art you want. Say, not in this particular case. Let's see what they've come up with again. Okay, there we go. Let's say in this, piece of art you wanted, maybe you like this face and this arm, but you had to recreate the body or whatever. You could bring it in and you could in-paint it and do any number of things like I can show you here. So let's go ahead and let's do that real quick. Let's load an image. So we're going to go down and we'll load my image that I just did right here. Maybe we'll try and put an arm with a gun in here and do the same style. So we're currently using this image. We can load a concept if we want. This again goes back to the concepts library where you go into styles and you can load these different styles that you have. You can see you got Bob's Burgers, Bossonard, Breakcore, Bully Bear, Chuck Walton, all kinds of different ones, and you can look those up on Hugging Face as well. So now that we've got that in, we want to know, how much of the image strength that we're going to use, so the influence. And this one is another one that I'm kind of a little bit misunderstood on as well, because if we take it down to like here, 0.1, you would assume that only 10% of the image in the masked area that I want would be used. That's what I'm kind of assuming. If you go 95%, let's try it. We'll do masked in painting. We're going to try and put an arm and a gun in this person's, in the image right here and put it like right there. So let's go ahead and we've got that. We're going to set it 0.95, 111 images. We've got our steps and our guidance. We can even take the guidance down to 12. Let's take it down to 11. Now let's take it to 12. And we'll leave the seed random. And when we click generate, it's going to bring up our box with our brush size and our mask blur. Now this is very basic rudimentary stuff, but I'm actually using my Wacom tablet right now, my Wacom Touch tablet, and I'm going to go ahead and paint a dot here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to go paint there. Maybe bring the arm up. Hand, so you're going to this. Maybe do a gun like right there. And so the idea is that, we're creating a mask that we only want Stable Diffusion to fill in the area of the mask and nothing else. We can blur the mask or we can make it sharper. And I've had varying levels of success with that. So we hit OK, and what it's going to do is it's going to generate, and the idea anyway is that the in-painting only generates what you want inside of that space. And actually I'm going to have to cancel that because we need to change the image. So we're going to keep everything the same, but what we're going to go ahead and go graffiti art of arm and laser gun. Why not? Graffiti art of arm and laser gun. Okay, now let's try that. So the idea, at least from what I understand anyway, and I could be completely wrong on everything, is that you want to change the prompt, of course, to put in what it is you want into that masked area. And sometimes it works, and quite often it does not. It does not put in the right perspective, the right angle, throws things, where you're expecting something to be on a 45, it puts it on a 90, and, destroys the cohesiveness of the image. Those are the kind of things that happen. And if you can see here, we're not getting anything out of this scan. We're already on 4 images, 5 images, and we go here and look, and we've got the same basic image. Nothing's changing, right? So go ahead and take these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it 6? No, it's 5. Blow those out, delete them, and then go back here and crank it down to 0.075 and generate. I just wanted to show you that. I knew it would happen, but so it doesn't really change anything. And one of the things too that I was talking with a friend about, Doc Wu, hello, shout out to Doc Wu. He was saying that he's using these, and I've been trying this as well. When you take the image strength up quite a bit, and you do different effects, you can, you could say flower and painterly effects, or acrylic paint thick, or all kinds of different things, to put a kind of a filter on top of it that retains most of the image, of course, but just kind of puts painterly effects or different kind of things on top of it, or blends things into it. And it's like a super filter. It's like a Photoshop super filter that you can, if you go in and you've ever played with applying styles to an image, like painterly styles and different things like that, you can consider it something like that, but just amplified and magnified out of control. Again, this is not doing what I want it to do at all. It's not, properly going into those areas. And if I even crank down the guidance or the image strength influence to almost nothing. Oh, and there's other, by the way, options here that you can do for additional scales and also for additional strength values that are based on different syntax that will run your chosen scale, as well as scale at 0.2, 0.4, and doing different incremental scalings and different things. So again, you are not getting, at least I'm not getting with all the inpainting all the time, everything I want. And if anybody has any suggestions on anything I might be doing wrong or anything else like that, I would be absolutely excited to hear from anyone who is doing that. So I'm not getting, like I said, the results I want. I'm getting a lot of stuff that isn't what I want, and I don't know why that is. So if I reset the mask and I use 0.2 and I turn it off and I generate it, let's see what happens there. I'm basically giving it freeform permission to do anything it wants to the image while retaining 20% of the original image underlying it. So you'll see that quite a large portion of the image will change, I'm sure, but we're also looking for, again, the arm and laser gun to come out of it. And since we haven't been getting it with the in-painting, we will try it without. Again, in-painting, out-painting. In-painting is with masking, out-painting is with by extending the image and creating extra elements. And so, look at that. You see what we get. You see what we get. We get a graphic gun that's in a kind of interesting perspective, and what looks like a Jackson Pollock almost, some kind of wild, but that as a background right there. I mean, you enlarge that, pull it up, vector trace it in Illustrator, dimensionalize it, do some 3D. Just that shape right there could be cool. Any of this stuff is just the conceptualizing, the iterations, just the whole idea of that gun right there. That's pretty neat. Take it up, we'll bring it to 4, and we'll render it out and see what that does. Oop, see, it didn't generate again. Okay, there we go. We'll take that image strength up to 0.4 and see what happens. And you can keep on playing and keep on playing. And I think the real beauty, at least right now, comes in the ability to do many, 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 many iterations, to bring images back into the GANs and go on top of them and create things on top of them or in-paint them, mask areas. Well, that's neat. Look at that. It almost looks like Vitalik Buterin a little bit, like a young, healthier Vitalik. But that's cool. We could let that run. Over here on the automatic, you can actually, it said here you could bring in, is it image to image? There's in paint. There is an area here that you can actually load up a mask instead of having to paint it, which is like, yay. And I just actually got this installed yesterday and was playing with it. Oh, darn it. Thank you. I got this installed yesterday and was playing with it, and I have yet to scratch the surface of what this thing is capable of. And I am fully enthralled and excited about trying all the different stuff. There's also scripts, prompt matrix, XY plot, any number of options and different things that I have not yet explored. So the tile size for ESR GAN upscalers equals 0, no tiling. Size for ES GAN. The overlap in pixels. Okay. And see, I don't know what are defaults. I don't know if I messed with this and forgot, or yeah, there's only so many notes you can take, right? ESR, so select which ESR GAN models to show in the web UI. Requires restart. Okay. So I think I need to look at what ESR GAN is again. ESR GAN. ESR GAN. Let's see. Oh, come on. Enhanced SR GAN, basic SR, real SR GAN. Extended it, which is a more practical algorithm for real world image restoration. It can also remove annoying JPEG compression artifacts. Okay, so the ESR GAN, I believe, is that the outpainting model? Oh my, I hate this. Is that the outpainting model? Maybe some repos that have dependency. Yeah, again, this is all, it's not out of my wheelhouse as far as technical, but it's just so much to cover. There's too much to cover. So VRAM usage polls per second during generation, set 0 to disable. Always print all generation info to standard output. Add a second, what's that say? Yeah, I mean, there's just, look at this. Sampler parameters, we have Euler, Euler A, LMS, you know, all this stuff. Like I said, PLMS is the one I've been primarily working with, but I like to have them all. And there was, let's see if I can find it real quick. There was. Now I'm going to freeze. Freeze my Finder. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue on with this so I don't kill my Finder. Okay. We're still up and running. Finder wants to die, but I'm not letting it. Okay. Again, tons and tons of options, tons of different things. Allowed categories for random artist selection when using the roll button. You know, so all these need to be checked. And again, one of the things I have not found a way to do is keep and retain my settings. So every time I blow this thing away and reload it, it has to reload all of the stuff. It takes a little while to load that. And then I don't have restart Gradio and refresh components. So this is Gradio. And I can't even keep track of all the names. It's crazy. We've got that image to image extras. We have the, you know, again, the batch process. You can batch process. You can batch from directory. You can do a single image. This would be for, this looks like upresing. And GFP GAN. Again, all of these are generative adversarial networks. They do different things. Codeformer. You know, Codeformer is, this is for faces, actually, for face reconstruction. So, non-Lacroix. See, I need to know what I'm doing here, and I don't. So, but I'm learning. Everything is a learning process, right? You get into it, and these things are also new. Again, shout out to Scott Detwiller. There's a number of other YouTube people that we're going to cover probably in the, I don't know. I mean, we're on AI so damn much. It's just, this is the thing we're covering lately. And we want to get into cinema and Blender and do all kinds of other stuff, but there's so much to teach here, and I know that people are clamoring for it. So unless I hear differently, you know, I'd like to hear your responses. All of our, you know, 0 viewers currently, but well, you know, you can do training on this, pre-process images. You know, we're training here. This is a very, very deep application, and just understanding it on its base level, I would like to actually get. I would like to actually get the people or person who is primarily involved in creating this. I would love to get them online on an interview to talk about how they did all this and what it means, and getting more information about it, and just doing walkthroughs. So I will also be looking for walkthroughs and different things on how to train myself on some of the more advanced aspects of the Gradio automatic 1111, whatever you want to call it, web GUI. And like I said, if you are into doing things a little bit more simplistically, don't need all the craziness and don't really want to learn everything that you possibly can about everything like I do, NMKD Stable Diffusion is definitely an option for you. And I'm liking that. Let's take that back up to 18. I really like the number there. So if you're, you know, if you're into getting more advanced and doing those kinds of things, you can install the automatic web GUI, and you can, of course, install both. NMKG is a little bit easier to use. I don't know, you know, Noomcrat, I'd love to talk to you as well, because I don't know, I was having a lot better results with the masked in painting with the 1.4 checkpoint and the 1.4, was it 1.4, 1.5 of your, no, 1.4 of your version, and then 1.5 wasn't all that good. Are we at 1.6? What are we at? Never tell with the friggin' Windows apps. I think we're at 1. Yeah, we're at 1.6, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. So I was having problems, but the best results I had with in-painting actually was in your version 1.4. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But again, here we're gonna, you know, we got 111 going. I could let this, you know, run as I'm talking, and it would just keep generating images as we go along. Again, if you're seeing something, you're like, ooh, you know, I could maybe put that guy in a VR headset, you know. So graffiti art of man in VR headset, and that's like the thing, right? Because we're all going into the metaverse. We're metaversing. Let's metaverse together. All right, VR headset. Like a friggin' smack Meta in the head with their Oculus Pro or Oculus and give me a Pro. I spent like $1,500 on 2 of them. All right, video of man, off man. See, you don't want those little typos. They get you. You have to be very literal with computers. You have to be very literal and say, I literally want this robot. But some really cool, I love the graffiti kind of stuff going on in the background, little squiggles and trails, and you just do all kinds of stuff with that. I have been more inspired in the last few months of working with all of this technology. I've been more inspired creatively than I have been in years, and I've been inspired, you know, the last couple of years very greatly by some of the tools that have come out. You know, Cinema 4D, the way that's going, Nomad Sculpt, Forger, Procreate, Photoshop, all the Adobe tools that I haven't even got a chance. I paid for a full year of Substance, and I never even used the damn thing. We are awash in a sea of tools, awash, and I am absolutely thrilled and excited about all of them, but at the end of the day, you got to have a workflow. You got to have, you know, an end result. You got to have a goal. And that's, you know, we're building up some art. We're doing some NFTs. We're going to do some crazy, cool projects together with some artists. We're going to do physical, digital items. We're going to do physical art cards and all kinds of amazing things. So if you are interested in computer graphics, 3D, getting ahead, doing AI art, bringing it into other applications and working with it. If you're just discovering yourself and want to learn more, if you're an industry pro and want to teach and mentor, StreamCatcher Society is open for business. We're not fully open, but we're getting there, and we're getting the website finished, and we're getting a lot of merchandise and other stuff done. We want to be able to sell you NFTs and have a good time doing that and be part of a community. And when I say a community, we're building something up initially that if you want to get in on the ground floor, you're going to be a core founding member. You're going to be somebody who, you know, if you're valuable to us and we're valuable to you and we can get together and form partnerships and deals, this is the time to do it. As we build our membership up and we grow and we launch Project M2 and we put out these digital items for sale, these real assets with digital twins, we expect that a lot of people are going to come in. We're going to expand the business, you know, to a great degree and hire a bunch more people, but we have a cap. We do. We absolutely have a cap on the amount of people we will support in any given capacity, because we know that we don't want to be number one in anything. We want to be number one in, you know, making the best content we can, but we're not out to compete with Pixar and Disney and all those other things per se. We want our slice of the pie. We want to be able to compete with companies like that and make great content,
but we don't have to be the top of the heap. We want to be niche and boutique and help you out personally when we can, work with you on professional ways that we can move forward, all of us together, and teach the ones who want to be taught and learn from the ones who want to teach. And we're excited about all of this. We are just continuously blown away by what is coming for creatives and artists around the world. Last thing I would say about that is that I want you to please understand that you will absolutely hit a wall if you are not learning the ins and outs of the technicals of computer graphics. If you do not understand how to move files back and forth, if you do not understand resolutions and DPI, if you do not understand how to map objects onto 3D, if you do not understand metaverse and core technologies and those kinds of things, if you don't understand them at least on a basic level as a content creator, CG artist going forward, you're gonna have issues. And you need, we're gonna do some deep dive courses, we're gonna do a lot of different things moving forward that's gonna help you really compress down a bunch of information and deliver it to you in a way that can be useful for you immediately and as you go on down the road. But learning has to change, attitudes have to change. I am constantly in a state of learning. I love it. I would go to school all my life and just retire. If I was rich, I'd just go to school all my life, I think. But then I'd want to make stuff too. So that's kind of the whole point, right? You go to school to actually do things and to put out final results. And that's what we're doing. We're excited. We're having a lot of fun. We hope that this last 3 hours of talking about AI art and looking at it, looking at where I've gone with it. I haven't even begun to show you the thousands and thousands and thousands of images I've created yet because I'm being very selective. I'm taking pieces, I'm taking parts, we're building art, we're building stories, we're building books and all kinds of different things. And I don't want to just throw out a bunch of stuff and see what sells. I have to want it for me first. I have to say, is this good enough for me to want to buy? And then I'll release it. So that's where we are, and we are getting close, like I said, on both sites. StreamCatcher will be up soon, and Bouncing Skull is in progress. That is our going to be our fine art site and our promotion gallerist site for promoting select artists that we work with. And we're looking for 20. We're going to be looking for 20 artists who have great art, who want to do a piece, a custom piece for us. And there will be a lot of benefits to it. It'll be a paid gig with we're paying for the artwork up front, and then there will be ongoing revenue and rewards from the sales of the NFTs and the way that we're going to do it with physicals, with digital items. So we're pretty excited about that, and we'd love to talk to you further. If you think you're a real professional and have really amazing artwork that is not like everybody else's, we want to talk to you. So reach out to us in DMs. You can always send an email to mediasvp at StreamCatcher Society, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. And I think we've gone right about, let's see, 1:58. We're hitting right about the 3-hour mark. I encourage everybody to continue to explore, create with whatever you've got, whether you've just got a cell phone or a bunch of computers. It doesn't really matter. Just keep creating. But know where you are in the process, know where you are in your stage of life, know where you are with your talents and your abilities, and know that sometimes you may need to take a different role than head chef. There's a lot of times where sometimes you need to learn or you need to go and do what you need to do, but there's also times when you need to respect others' abilities and their talents and skills. And in this world, you're never just an artist. You're never just an artist. You are a business person, you are a technologist, you are a futurist, you're somebody who thinks ahead and looks ahead and is creative and expresses themselves in a way that most people do not. Most people can't. So I applaud you all as artists. I applaud everybody out there who's working and creating and doing interesting things. I implore you to make sure that you're doing things that aren't status quo, that everybody and their brother isn't doing, and that with AI art that can be a little difficult. But be you, be original, be creative, be unique. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to be back on Tuesday with another show, and I think we'll try and cover like 3 topics maybe, some AI art and some other things, and maybe get into some 3D and do some stuff. I've got this setup kind of going here, but we're moving cameras around and moving equipment around and kind of getting our sets set up and see how quick and fast and easy we can break them down and set them back up again. So this has been a good learning experience for me today. I've learned some things, and I hope you have too. Until next time, this is Chris Tome with StreamCatcher Society. I'd like to thank you very much for tuning in. You guys have a great weekend. God bless, and take care.